hey, Sully's going to MasterCraft. Do you want to be brand manager? And just like out of left field. And I was like, what? And he's like, Sully's leaving. He's going to MasterCraft. Do you want to be the brand manager? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, this is all I've ever dreamed of.
On today's episode of the Grab Matters podcast, we welcome on a very special guest, former brand manager of Radar Water Skis and former professional water skier, Brooks Wilson. We're talking with Brooks about growing up in Florida, getting into water skiing, kind of in an unconventional way, and how that progressed into him competing into water skiing, going to college, realizing college may not have been for him, and him kind of choosing his own path when it comes to being a professional water skier that isn't just being, a tournament water skier, doing competitions on the weekends. We're talking about the Wilson Bros, Radar Nation, his involvement with Radar before he was the brand manager there. We're also talking him working at the boarding school, how that was kind of a pivotal moment in his career, and then eventually moving out to Seattle, taking the brand manager job at Radar, what that job entails. We're also talking about gear, water ski gear, kind of what goes into being a brand manager at a water ski company and what he is in charge of, what he helps out with. If you've ever met Brooks before, you know he's got plenty of stories to tell, and he's lived a life not short of adventure, so we definitely run through a bunch of stories with him. If you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to do so. I want to say a big thank you to all the Patreon subscribers. Your guys' support really is what keeps this podcast going. So thank you so much to everybody on the Patreon, as well as if you want to support the podcast, support the brands that support the show. That helps a ton as well. Without further ado, let's get into this episode of the Grab Matters podcast.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Air railies.
A new dimension.
This is how we're going to kick it
Kick
off
the pod,
here.
boom.
All right, we're back. Another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we welcome on a very special guest, Brooks Wilson. How's it going, Brooks?
Happy to be here. Let's get down and dirty. Let's talk.
Let's talk, dude. So we got a lot to get into. There's a lot that you've done, and we're just going to move through it. But first things first, favorite grab.
Stalefish.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that many people have said stalefish.
No, definitely not.
And but I don't know. I just like it. Like one, Corey, my wife, she does a badass big old stalefish glide.
Stalefish glide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or she'll do stalefish back one too.
Yeah, that's a classic one.
Yeah. But even right now, like Ulf's big stalefish, Tantrum Blind, looks pretty sick. Yep. She's toe 7 with that big stalefish in the middle. Massey, stale 321.
You're pulling out some. You came prepared with the stale.
Yeah.
I love that.
I got to back it up because I feel like most people don't rep stale, but it looks really good when it's done really well.
It does, and those are some great ones you pulled out, especially Shion.
Yeah.
Which I was bummed you didn't ride double or nothing. I don't know what happened there, but
yeah, a little knee tweak. I talked about last night after.
Okay. Well, happens. We'll get him next year.
But yeah, he's like that kid's riding is insane.
So good.
Like that double grab 10 for wild card.
Yep.
But yeah, that stalefish, toe 7. Yeah.
Yeah, right in the middle. So good. All right, stalefish. I like that.
And and the way I'm guessing Donnie edited that, Daniel.
Well, he's a wizard.
Yeah, but like that's like the way he goes slow mo just on that stale, like in that clip, looks insane.
Yeah, shout out Donnie, dude.
Yeah.
Are you the only person to ever hit a winch spot on a water ski?
Potentially.
I'll
that's
put
not
the
true.
away.
I'm the only person to hit a winch. Well, I guess it's a winch spot, which is a wake skate winch spot. But
Spot's a spot.
Spot's a spot. Trent Finlayson, we tried to do one and it didn't work. We had, I know you love gas winches, so we borrowed this gas winch to try and do this fountain in downtown Orlando, and the winch sucked, like just sputtering, kicking, dying. We were like trying to get him to start off a surfboard because there was no like good.
Like deep water start off surfboard and
just to take the strain off the winch.
Yeah.
On
a ski too. That's gonna be.
Yeah. So like I started in a chair when I did mine just to like get a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And that was a gas winch too. Shout out Worrells. They barred their winch, hit that winch spot over the rocks. The grab on that was tricky because I went through a lot of different ones.
You did it a bunch of times, you mean?
Yeah.
Or a bunch of different grabs?
A bunch of different grabs.
Okay.
I don't remember which one's in that clip.
Well, what is the name of the grab?
I don't know. Because like in skiing, like because I was doing just a big tail grab, and then Doster who shot it.
Like straight behind you, tail
just
the
like
ski.
tail of the ski, like
okay.
right at the fin. And he was like, no, grab it between the boots. And I was like, which they like.
The boots are kind of touching.
Yeah, they're like together. So I mean, I think that's I think in the final one, that's where I was grabbing.
I think so. I'll put the photo in. I couldn't find the video, but I found the photo.
That's probably good. Ollie Jerome told me once, he's like, you should have just done the photo.
Did you not land it very well or something?
No, I did. It just looks less impressive. Like
the photo is pretty cool.
Yeah, like the photo, you got the rocks. Like Doster shot it. It's framed really well. Like you have a ton of rocks. It makes it look
down low. Yeah.
And in the video, it's like a little, I would say, underwhelming. Potentially, at least, like I respect Ollie, and just one day he was like, "Hey, you should have just done the photo. The photo was sick."
Dang. It's kind of a gut punch.
I could send you the video if you want to put it in there.
I would love to put it in, but I mean, I'll definitely put the photo in. So,
but yeah,
it's a good one.
Send you the bit. But yeah, it was a fun one. It was. I mean, that's kind of my MO, was doing weird stuff. But yeah, so I think the only successful winch mission.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be a cover too
for Waterski Mag.
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
No, one, it wasn't shot as a cover, so that was tricky. Like the whole, we know. Up to interpretation, it was shot as a landscape photo, though, so hard to make a cover out of that. And then they figured out they were going to do a cool thing, make it work. But then, I guess, cover selection process goes through a lot of layers, and it did not make the final cut. And so the cover shot ended up like just a normal shot. It was a Whitney. It was a cool shot. But like the title on the cover said like "Break Out of the Slalom Box." It was like about the picture that was the inside edge, which is what that photo was.
Okay.
But it's not really breaking out of the slalom box, just a traditional slalom ski shot for the.
Yeah, I'm just kind of racking my brain of like what covers could be of Waterski magazine, and it like 99 out of 100 times it's probably going to be a shot of someone going around a buoy, right?
Yeah, a lot of buoy shots.
So the winch one to me would be like a no-brainer. Like let's throw that sucker in there,
Yeah.
Seems like something Joel Poland would do. I feel like he could run that back. And there's electric winches now too, so he could probably bang that out, no problem.
Yeah. We should. We'll find a spot, Joel. Let's find one. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. You could jump through a fountain too. I mean, I'm sure you'd be down. All right. So you're in Florida, and that's how I got you on. I pestered you enough times, so you finally moved back here for the podcast, which is very nice of you to do.
Committed.
What are you doing here?
I'm back in Florida. So I'm from Florida originally. Moved to Seattle 8 years ago to be brand manager of Radar Skis, and had a really good run. But it was time to wrap it up, get back to Florida. Corey and I, my wife and I, talked, a lot of just what we want to do, how we want to do it. And sometime last year, we decided we wanted to get back to Florida full time, and kind of went through a lot of different stuff of what I want to do. I still want to be involved in water skiing, but I'm actually going to start my own business doing boat rentals and then captain stuff in the Intercoastal on the East Coast. So in Melbourne on the beach. And yeah, gonna start my own business, new adventure, and I'm sure I'll still be involved in water skiing, still do a lot of skiing. Like I still, since I've been back, Joel and Travis Moye and I, we've got a standing Tuesday appointment.
I heard
to ski
that,
every Tuesday. So if you're down, every Tuesday. I won't say the time because don't want anybody to just drop in.
True.
But so we'll do that. I'll ski down at Hope Sound, one of my favorite sites down in South Florida.
Okay.
Get down and ski there a bit. I don't know if I'll do events. Probably not.
Out of retirement is what that sounded like.
No. I was barely in, I don't know how to say that, but I was barely doing events when I was doing events, so I don't see that happening again. But yeah, still skiing, still having fun. Maybe some Wilson Bros videos making it come back.
Hey, that's what we like to hear.
I don't know full-blown Minute Mondays, but...
We'll dive into Wilson Bros and obviously Radar as well. But before we get into that, I mean, I like to at least figure out, how you got into water skiing and the whole beginning days of your water sports life, I guess. 'Cause you said you're from Florida, so kind of.
Yeah. So grew up in Florida. Was born in South Florida. That's where my mom was from originally, and her family had grown up like just skiing. They had skied recreationally, just fun trips as a family, outboard boat, having fun. My parents, when they got married, they were in South Carolina. They bought a Wahoo, which is like a Boston Whaler type boat, a little 16-footer with a 90 horse on it, and they had that. They would cruise like the low country there in South Carolina, and they brought that boat back to Florida with them. And then when we were growing up, we learned to water ski behind it. So we had moved to Orlando. We would do trips down to this lake called Crooked Lake, down in Lake Placid area. And then eventually, most of it, we were living in Oviedo, and then would ski on Lake Virginia. So we'd do like beach starts out of Dinky Dock right there behind Rollins College. Super cool little spot, but that's where like most of my early skiing days was. Just combo skiing, kneeboarding. I mostly just wanted to kneeboard, but to be able to kneeboard, I had to ski first. So
why is that?
It's just, the family rule. Like, you got to ski first. I don't know.
You got to stand before you can kneel.
You got to stand before you can kneel. But, just started skiing like that. And then my parents always just loved the water. They wanted to be on a lake. So in 2000, they bought a house on a lake in Winter Springs. And there was a ski course there. A guy named Carl Roberge had put the slalom course in there. He was one of like the best water skier in the world for a really long time. And there was a guy named Billy Susi who lived on that lake who was skiing then. And we had like our little 16-foot wahoo and go out and rip, and saw them doing the course, and thought we'd give it a shot. And I'm sure we were cutting buoys out left, right, and center. And so they kind of came in and it's like, hey, here's how you do it. And there was like a huge drought in Orlando then, so the lake level got really low. And he was skiing out with Wade Cox at the time out in Chiliota area, where it's actually where Carl Roberge's ski school was. Wade Cox bought that ski school lake off of him and was running ski school out there. So I started skiing out with Wade Cox and Billy Susi, this guy John Bond, like pretty much right away.
I don't know the other names. I'm not super into water skiing, but I know the name
Wade
Cox. That's a big name to like.
Yeah, so I was only because Billy went out there, and Billy was like a junior masters champion, was a really good skier, and so I kind of would tag along with him to go out there, and that's kind of where I learned to ski proper. Like I grew up on my sister's ski, so she had like an old HO, and that's the first ski that I ever learned to ski on. And then when I went to Wade's, we bought a CDX off of him, which is kind of a classic HO ski. It was his pro model, the CDX, and kind of just from there, like things took off, progressed.
Okay.
And then started doing tournaments from there. Like he was like, hey, if you're running the course, like go do tournaments. And so did my first tournament, and then kind of the rest from there is history.
I mean, walk through that, because I'm curious on, obviously, getting into water sports, there's like a level of people who just do it for fun, and then there's a point where you start taking it, kind of seriously, where it's like, I'm going to do tournaments, or I'm going to, on a wakeboard, really start pushing the next level of tricks. So, like, that moment, would you say, was when kind of that turning point happened, and then, I guess, what happened after that?
Yeah, so, I guess, like, I didn't even really know that you could do tournaments. Like, I for sure didn't know you could do tournaments. I just, like skiing, and it was fun. Like, we have, like, family photos of all of us, like, skiing behind the wahoo on combo skis, or just, like, wally skiing for sure. And then, like, when we moved on that lake and saw the slalom course, it was like, well, here's, I guess, like, serious slalom. Like, you got to turn and cut and do all this stuff when the buoys tell you to. And so from there, that's, like, started skiing the course, and then it's, like, kind of, you get hooked. Like, so I definitely had run all 6 buoys in the slalom course before I went to Wade's.
Okay.
And then from there was, like, learning to go faster. So traditional skiing, you're going to go 26, 28, 30 miles an hour in like 2 mile an hour increments. And then once you hit top speed, which as like a 10 or 11-year-old, my top speed would have been 34 miles an hour. So went 34 miles an hour, and then you shorten the rope, 22 off. And it's actually a funny story. I was at Wade's. First time my mom ever left me there alone. And it was the first time I ever tried 22 off. Came through the gates, hit the wakes. Wakes, like, traditionally always, like, notoriously bigger at 22 off. It's like the first rope shortening. It's like where the crest of the wake is, like little bump.
At that speed or whatever?
Or just, 22 off is like where the bump is.
Okay.
And so went through it, boom, went out the front, tip of the ski hit me. Like, I got a little scar right there.
Wow.
Tip of the ski hit me. That was aluminum top sheet. So, like, the CDX had an aluminum top sheet on the top of the ski. Hit me right in the face. Came, like, blood pouring down my face. Wade in the boat, this guy Dave Harvey, who drove out there. And they just had like a dirty boat towel. I come back to the dock, just blood pouring down. My mom is like driving in to Wade's at that same time, come down, and she thinks they're like playing a joke on her because it's the first time she's ever left me there alone. She comes down, there's blood just pouring down. Like, Wade's like, I think he's going to need stitches. And we went to like an urgent care. They didn't do stitches, just butterflied it up. Probably why I still have a scar. Yep. But there's like some bone missing there. There's like a little pocket.
This is a big one.
Wouldn't say it's big, but like, it's like right at the top of your cheekbone, I guess.
Cheekbone, yeah.
And there's like a little hole, little pocket.
Kind of sick.
Yeah. So that was my first time at 22 off, and yeah, first time I was ever left alone at Wade.
See, that's context. I had no idea at 22 off there's a
yeah.
bump. That's
so
like
that's
the worst spot, I guess.
15 off is like the full rope, 75 foot, 15 off is where most people would start. Like most people don't ski with a full rope. And then 22 off, you got a little bump, and then 28 off, you're in front of that. So at that time, like when I tried 22 off, I'd never done a tournament. Like about that time, hey, you're getting up to full speed, you're shortening the rope, like you should go ski an event. Yeah. There's one at Ski Paradise, this site in Mulberry, which is probably where I did most of those early tournaments. It was a cool site. It's for sale right now. Anybody wants to buy it? Hey, shout out.
There you go.
Ski Paradise. Lots of alligators. I don't know if there's a lot.
Leave that one off the
There's a lot of gators out there. But yeah, so skied my first event, and I don't even think I knew you could trick or jump at that point. Like I just knew there was slalom skiing. And it was like a buoy course, and so did that first event, and I couldn't tell you what I got, but I got some buoys. Got a score, and then met a lot of people. Then, so like before that, I knew Wade Cox and Billy. Like I knew pro skiers already before I even had been to a tournament, which is kind of wild. Like didn't grow up going to ski school or different stuff like that, and so then like met a ton of people at that first tournament. Probably did a couple more that year, and then the next year did enough tournaments where I was doing like the state tournament, the regionals, and then nationals. Did my first nationals. I was in Texas in 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not too long after, because you said 2000.
Yeah, so 2000s, like when we moved to the lake, I started skiing, did my first tournament in 2001, and then skied the nationals in 2002. I rained for like 7 days straight. Like we flew to Texas. My dad was like stoked. It was just me and my dad that went. Rented a Mustang convertible.
Sick.
And it rained for 7 days straight. Sick. We just we weren't there 7 days, but I just sat there the whole time watching the lake level rise. Ended up skiing the day after I was supposed to because it was just delayed. Skied in the rain. I got 7th. I remember that. I think 4 at 32 off. It's maybe made up, but don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Absolutely not. Definitely not this podcast.
So yeah, that was like first nationals, and then kind of hooked from there. Met a ton of kids, there's 5 like junior divisions. There's just 3 then. And so I was in boys 2, which is like top speed 34, and just had a blast next year. And then kind of from there was just like, all right, I want to do tournaments. I want to do this. And then went back there the next year and was on the podium. I think I got 3rd that year, my second nationals. And then kind of from there was just like I did think just 2 years in boys 2, and then I would have been 14, which I think would have put me in boys 3. And so that goes up to 36 miles an hour. And then that's like the top speed anybody would ever ski at. So at that point, hadn't won a nationals, but was pretty consistent on podiums and stuff like that. And then started doing junior US Opens, junior masters. Ended up winning junior masters in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was 16. I'd been skiing for whatever handful of years. Won junior masters that year. And then like the next week, won junior US Open.
Back to back.
Catching titles. And that was at Jack Travers, just local for the Junior US Open. Yeah. But I'd started doing like tournaments like that, like where I wasn't leaving the country, but like there was junior masters tournaments, there was nationals, there was Junior US Open. Those were like kind of the big ones.
Yeah.
And then started at that point, was with like D3 skis.
I was going to ask. Okay.
Like when I won junior masters, I was on a D3, and they had given me a good like discount on that because I had like done well at nationals and started talking to him, and then I'd started skiing with Lucky Lowe at that point, and he had put me on a D3 off that CDX, and then so then I was kind of connected with D3, and then they started looking after me with skis, and that was kind of like my first sponsor. Started doing trips out to California to ski with like Will Bush and Paul Crawford out there. And then got sponsored by Nautique when I was 17, the year after that Junior Masters. So it's still like mind-blowing to me to this day. Like looking back, Bill Jurgen had just become CEO of Craft. And I somehow, like I was actually kind of talking to MasterCraft. I'd like known Arn, and we're doing something. Some guy, like one of my dad's friends was like, well, if he's talking to MasterCraft, I'm friends with that Bill Jurgen, the new CEO. We should set up a meeting. And so like just me and my brother, Casey, we went down. I was 17. He would have been 13 then. And just like had a meeting with the CEO of Craft at that time and left with a boat deal. Got Ronnie Barton Bischoff's old 196, which was like the Ski Nautique then. That was like their highest end ski boat. got her old boat, and was like off to the races from there. I was like, we made it.
I mean, kind of, yeah. You got this ski deal, and then what's the, I mean, what, do you just get a boat, or what's that looking like?
Yeah, so I definitely, when we started with Nautique, it was just a boat.
Yeah.
And then with D3, I was just getting free skis, it was just flow. And then both those grew over time. To the, like, where D3, I never got paid from D3, but I was getting skis I could sell. So
Okay.
I got all my equipment, and then they would give me an allotment of skis that I could sell to make money.
And would you just take them to tournaments and stuff and sell, or just people that needed
Yeah,
skis?
or I just like know people, or like I got to know people and like, hey, you can have a ski, or yeah, people would come to ski with me and like, hey, if you need
like a
a
loose
ski,
sales rep kind of thing.
yeah, kind of deal, like just through word of mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Nautique eventually got to the point where I was getting, it was pretty minimal money, a couple $100, and it was like based on social media posts.
Really?
Yeah, so it's still like, I think every Nautique athlete's like contractually obligated to post about Nautique twice a month, and you got to send them in. I was like cleaning up a hard drive the other day, and I like had the screenshots, and like that was no Instagram then, so it was like Facebook and Twitter and like tweeting like at Nautique Boats is the sickest, or check this new video at Nautique Boats.
It's like Rockstar back in the day. They used to do, I think it might have been once a week or it was twice a month or something like that, and that was like their only thing in the contract, from what I talked to some Rockstar athletes.
That was like my only like true obligation. I had to post twice a month about it, and I had to send it in like at the end of the month, send them to Brad,
send the receipts in, and
and then get that check.
Okay, so you're 17? You're on D3. You got Nautique. What happens after this? Because you're getting into college age.
So at that point, graduated high school. Had won nationals the year I graduated high school. So that was actually the first time I'd ever won the U.S. nationals. Was the year I graduated high school, which would have been, so that's 2008, spring of 2000 or summer of 2008, and then I went like straight from winning nationals to college. I went to University of Alabama, Roll Tide Roll, and it was not everything that I thought it was going to be. I was so pumped to go, like ski team, like. I'm 18 years old, like I'm going to college, I'm on a ski team, like I'm just going to ski. And that just wasn't reality. Like there were some really good skiers there. It was kind of the start of like Alabama now has an incredible ski team. And they have over time, like they've always had a good ski program. Doc Strong, who developed that program, like just built a really beautiful thing. And it was really cool. I went to like collegiate nationals, got 4th or 5th that year. And then I just really didn't ski as much as I wanted. And I'd kind of thought I was going to get some scholarship, some different stuff to work out, and it ended up not. So I went to Alabama for a year and then ended up moving back to Orlando to go to UCF. Just because a lot of it was just I wanted to ski more.
Yeah.
And then I went to UCF and was kind of still had the, D3 stuff going, was still skiing events. But it was kind of a weird time. Like I was, a good junior pro or junior rider, won those events. And then like there was a big gap like between being a good junior and a good pro at that point. Like I was running into 39 off, I wasn't running 39. And at that time, like now no one misses 39 ever. But at that time, like if you could run deep 39, you could make a first cut and stuff like that. So I was doing pro events and kind of like teetering on making a first round cut. But a lot of times not. And just like, so spending money going to events, not making any money, going to college to get an education, but also needed to make money and working. Wasn't making enough from, Nautique or D3 to pay all my rent and bills and go to events and stuff like that. So started getting odd jobs here and there. Had a lot of random jobs through the years, but one of those was SeaWorld. So I was working at SeaWorld, doing all that, and kind of just like struggling to like go to school, try to be a skier, and try to have jobs. And I was like, I'm not having fun.
Something's got to give here.
Yeah, college gave. That was the easy one to drop. I just didn't love school, never did. It was kind of one of those things. I think especially for someone that's like entrepreneurial, likes to do their own thing. Like college is
monkey in a cage.
It's one of those things where I think like if you're going to learn a specific thing, there's nothing better than going to college. Like if you're going to be a doctor, like I don't think you can just figure that out by yourself.
I wouldn't want you to.
No, they did that a while ago. But yeah, so I kind of came up with a plan of just like, I'm going all in on skiing. And so I kind of, there was like an article in Waterski Mag about like 7 ski sites in South Africa. And this, cause I like came up with this plan, like I was dropping out of school in August, or I was like started August, and I was like, I know I'm not going to make it. Like I'm going to drop out, but I can't just drop out. I need a plan. So there's this like Waterski Mag article, is like 7 ski sites in Africa. And I remember like reading that and like had this like light bulb, whatever, back in my mind thought of like, oh, I could just like email all of these people and see if they want to do coaching. And so emailed all 7 of them, and one of them came back and was like, yeah, we'd love to do a week. Like, we'll figure it out. And so I kind of went back and forth with them. At the same time was like, well, it's winter in South Africa. It's winter here. It's summer in South Africa. It's summer in Australia. So let's all go to Australia. Let's figure this out. So I found this site, Stony Park, in Port Macquarie, Australia. It was an awesome place. And so I was just like, all right, here's the plan. I'm going to go do a clinic like a week-long clinic in South Africa. I'm going to come home. Then I'm going to go to Australia for a month. I'm going to come back for like Christmas. Then I'm going to go back to South Africa for another week. And then I'm going to go to Australia till Moomba in March. And that was the end of school. Once I figured that out, I was like, okay, I can make money. Yeah. I can make good money, make enough money through that 3 months that it was more than I was making anywhere along the way. And so that was kind of the beginning of that. And that would have been 2010. Was when I really started that plan. And then I came back from that year. It's all a little fussy, but came back from that, like that winter, and like had kind of done all that and was like, all right, I'm going to start planning my like pro ski events and what I'm doing this summer. And I remember I was sitting in the kitchen counter and Chris Bischoff called, and he was then running all the ops for Pro Wakeboard Tour. That's when it was under Bonnier, and World Sports and Marketing was the company. And he was like, hey, I don't know if you're any interest at all, but we need a sponsor coordinator to come work for the tour. And, you know, you'll come to the events, and then afterwards you'll do like recaps, sort photos, create this like website basically to send out to the sponsors, to Rockstars, to MasterCrafts, to all the like guitar company, Fender, like all those companies, like here's what we got from the event, here's content you can use, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, sweet, yeah, I'm in. And then, yeah, so started that. And kind of that was the start of me working for Pro Wakeboard Tour, and did that for 3 seasons and had the freaking time of my life. Like I met Corey, like the very first event I was at was Wake Games in Orlando. It was actually insane. It was Wake Games. Met Corey. That was like the first event of the G when Harley and Ollie did back-to-back tens. Yeah, wake-to-wake tens. And then was just like, so back then we'd do Wake Games, Nationals, Worlds, and then 5 PWT events. And that was maybe a couple odds and ends. Like that's when like Wake Opens were happening. So I was working those events, and yeah, was traveling the world, or like traveling the U.S. because there was really no international events during that time. Everything was just domestic. So I was working for PWT doing that, and then still skiing the whole time. So
okay, I was going to ask if you're.
Yeah, so still like being a pro skier, still like that was like Wilson Bros is like full on going on during that time, and yeah, so just like that was kind of like everything all the time, all at once. Like PWT stuff during the day, come back from an event and like work on sponsor recap stuff, ski during the day. And then if it wasn't a wakeboard event, I was going to a ski event, and sometimes it happened at the same time. Like we were in Sacramento for like a Mossdale PWT, and then like stayed and skied a tournament that next Sunday in Sacramento, and was just kind of like bouncing between doing all of it. And like some of the most fun times of my life, like the coolest time in tour, like, I mean, probably not of all time, but it was a fun time on tour. Like every rider, was still riding on tour then. Like the young guys were coming up, like the legends were still like on tour riding. And it was just,
you mean
like,
the Pro Wakeboard Tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like a fun time to be a part of PWT. Like it was like, and then like I was part of ops crew too. Like I would do mostly sponsor stuff, like set up autograph signings during the day. And there were still a lot of people coming to live events at that time. And yeah, we were having a lot of fun. Like, so you do the sponsor stuff, hang out with the ops guys, like unsung heroes of the tour for sure. Like getting there early, setting everything up, working hard to keep everything going. And yeah, just that crew. Met Corey during that time. And so like we were young, in love, and just traveling, going to wakeboard events, and then doing ski events at the same time. And then Casey was in school then, but that was very much like the height of like figuring out Wilson Bros stuff and doing videos. And that was kind of like early days where we'd do like a couple videos a year. Like we'd have like, hey, let's do It's Always Sunny in Florida or different things. Like, and at that time I had gotten like left D3 and was skiing for Radar. So I started skiing for Radar in that 2010 year.
Okay.
So in 2010 is when I'd started skiing for Radar. That's like when I went to South Africa. Like Sully had reached out and said like, hey, you guys we'd already started Wilson Bros at that point. And Sully, Chris Sullivan, who ran Radar before I did, he reached out and was like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to get you guys on Radar. Like, can we make it happen? And like Casey and I, like, he was skiing for HO then. I was skiing for D3. And he wanted like both of us to ski for HO. Radar was like pretty new. It was 4 years in at that point. It was like definitely a cool brand. Yeah. It was young, and I was like, I think there's an opportunity here to like do something. And like I remember like we had like lots of like not like knockdown drag out, but like heated conversations. Like, no, I think we need to do this. Well, we could just, it's working fine if we don't ski for the same company now. Like I think like, well, we're better together. I think like marketable. Like let's do this.
Okay, so you mentioned the Wilson Bros, and I am familiar with videos, website, all that stuff. But I think a lot of listeners might not be familiar with the brand movement.
So I'm Brooks Wilson. My brother's Casey Wilson. Together, we're the Wilson Bros. And I like so at some point, I guess it's probably like around that 2008, 2009, we just like decided we wanted to be the Wilson Bros and start making videos. Like I was I would say inspired by surf, mostly. Dane Reynolds probably. Back then it was called Marine Layer Productions, and he would like film every session that he surfed and just put it on his website. And I was like, there's something cool about like I loved video. Like we have see you got a mini DV up there. I just found a whole freaking shoebox full of mini DV cassettes. I don't know how to play them, so if you got something.
Well, you can put it into that HVX there, and then you can firewire it to your computer, and then you can play it back.
I did find a firewire cable, too.
And then you're good.
I knew how I used to do it. I just don't know how to do it now. But yeah, so really it was like, I mean, it was to brand ourselves. Like, we want like, hey, like, skiing events is fun. We like doing it, but let's make some content. Like, this is cool. There's an opportunity. No one's really doing that. And so, yeah, started making videos, and it would be like a couple a year. And then just like really fun, skitty, stupid stuff. Like there's one, like just sitting in the garage and like hang a microphone from the thing, and it would like swing back and forth, and we'd say a blurb, 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 blurb.
And then
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, was this the couch skiing situation?
Yeah. So like, it was like dumb skits. So we'd like have a couple videos a year that were like just skiing, like,
to a good song or whatever.
Yeah. Love some rack on tours. That was definitely a go-to. A lot of edits to that. And just like, I don't know if I can get in trouble. A lot of pirated music.
You can't get in trouble for that.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
And just like, having really fun edits, and then also doing just dumb stuff, skiing at the same time. Like we have like over under with the Wilson Bros, like 2 ropes, like running the slalom course, like putting an opposite course, doing that, running the course at the same time, like same rope length, like double skiing the slalom course. And and then like couch surfing, like we had this old couch. I don't even know where we got this couch. Probably I used to like drive around on Friday nights with my friends and just rake trash pile, toilets and all the dumb stuff. So we were shooting. This is actually like we were shooting a video. It's called 32 Accounts. This guy Ryan Sawyer made it, and we had done some like some serious skiing in it, but we wanted to have like a fun element to it. So we strapped. We started with like we just tried putting a bunch of skis on the bottom of it and thinking that would work, and it didn't work. So then we like had this old bass kind of type boat, and we stuck the couch on there and pulled it behind the boat. Ended up flipping. It was a mess. It was a lot of fun, but it was a mess.
To be honest, my dumb brain, if you were to say like a land start, dry start with the skis, I would be like that.
No, we
could work.
Yeah, we did that and just snapped a lot of ropes. Because ski ropes are pretty. I mean, they're rated to like 1,000 pounds, and then like a couch with 2 people on it, wedged into the sand. Like, it didn't work that good. But that's how we start. That was like our thing. Like, oh yeah, we'll just beach start. That'll be easy. Not that easy. A lot of snap ropes. A lot of carnage.
It's kind of what you want, though.
No, it was fun. That was the most fun. Like we'd have so much fun coming up with dumb things, like putting boots on skateboard decks, or Byerly had these like reef shoes. Byerly had like pro model reef shoes. Yeah. They were the sickest. They had like alligator skin on them. Whatever. They were cool. Bish was like the reef team manager at that time, and he would give us like reef shoes, but they would like dry rot, and so they'd be so slippery after like a couple months. And so we'd just like slide on the deck, and then we'd just like have a rope in your hands and like slide over the top and hit one of those like plastic X Factor ramps.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just rip those off the end of the dock all day long. But like our whole thing was like built out of just having fun on the water. Like it wasn't. There wasn't videos at that point that were like, here we are running 39 off, here we are running into 41 off, here we are. Like, it was very much just like, this is how it was like a vlog, basically.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, that's like a glimpse of what we do. We ski and have fun, but we also goof off and have just like, we lived on a lake, and that's like what you're going to do when you live on a lake is play around and goof off and have fun. So it was kind of born out of that. And then we were going to events like, we were never in the same division until like we skied pro events. So like at that point, like, so Junior US Open, I talked about before, there's two divisions. There's under 17 and there was under 21. And so I had won some under 17 ones, and this whole time we were going to those. Like, it was like our fun event. Like Casey would do masters. He won a couple junior masters after, because we were never skiing junior masters at the same time. So he won a couple after I was in junior masters. And then we'd always, like, after that was always Junior US Open, like 2 weeks later. And so we'd go do that event. And we won, like, 4 or 5 years in a row where we'd both just, like, he won under 17, I won under 21. So I guess probably 4, because that's how many I could have done that wasn't in the same division as him. Fast math.
Wilson Bro is a name to be reckoned with, though, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. Like, I mean, it was art. I don't know if we just thought we were really cool or if we were cool, but we had a lot of fun. Like, we were going to events, and like we would announce while we were at the events, and like we had a lot of fun doing it. And like I'm 4 years older than him, so I was driving, and we would like started doing like little road trips where like we would drive to Little Rock, Arkansas. The Greenwood family was there. They were amazing hosts, and so like we'd go up there, we'd do a clinic with them, then we'd drive down to Texas, do some stuff, and like we started doing these little mini road trips. And then, like, through all that, would, like, demo ski. So we were skiing on Radar at that point. And so would, like, do demo skis. And then, like, in my mind, I was like, I mean, it wasn't the first time anybody had done it, but I was like, you know, like, let's, like, make a real go of doing, like, a proper demo tour where we do this. So that's, like, we started Radar Nation Tour.
Okay, that's perfect, because I was about to ask that next. So, like, the Wilson Bros, I guess, to kind of wrap this up, is you guys came together, formed a brand, and then you both signed with Radar.
Yep, yeah. So then we'd kind of done a couple things where, like, if you find, like, the early Wilson Bros videos, I'm riding a D3, Casey's riding an HO. But pretty soon after, like, we both signed with Radar, and then we made a video, like we made our own release video, basically, like Wilson Bros ripping Radar style. It's a good one.
Put that one, yeah.
There you go. And that was kind of, like, off to the races. Like, we had a sponsor and, like, someone that believed in what we were doing, and that, like, really put fuel on the fire of, like, okay, like, someone actually thinks what we're not just doing what we think is cool, like, someone else kind of is into it.
Yeah, believes in us.
And so there was, like, a lot through that, like, where then, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like, we started doing kind of higher, I guess, production stuff where we weren't just filming it with, like, little handy cams and stuff like that. We had this guy, Jonathan Pears, who shot a bunch of wake stuff, lived out of the projects, but he was shooting Radar product videos at the time. And he made a really cool video kind of in honor of Herb. It was after Herb had passed away in 2012. Made a really cool, just like cinematic video. He's very like a cinematic videographer, and made a really cool video. And that kind of got the like wheels flowing. We ended up like from there. Timeline's always a little rusty, but did Minute Mondays, which was like a weekly vlog series that we did, which was like documenting like just our lives. Like, so for an entire year, it was in 2014 because it was when we signed with MasterCraft. So we like, I'm getting rambly for sure.
Oh, this is perfect. This is exactly where I was going to walk this through. So you're kind of.
I'll crack a freshie.
Yeah, crack a freshie because I did want to ask about the MasterCraft deal, but
yeah,
obviously we can get to that one.
But yeah, so I would guess during that time there was like, I say it's fuzzy because there was just so much stuff going on. It was all so fun, but we were doing Wilson Bro stuff. Casey, way better at school than I am. He stayed in school. Be cool, stay in school.
Well, if you want. If it doesn't fit, don't do it.
Yeah. So he stayed in school. But that whole time, like, he was in Lakeland, Florida, so it was close. We were filming videos on the weekends, traveling all summer long. But I was doing, like, I was working PWT. I was trying to ski pro events. Still, like, at that point was, like, I would say a weird time in pro water skiing, where right now we're definitely seeing a resurgence. There's 14 pro slalom events this year. Back then there was maybe, I mean, there was Moomba, there was Masters, and there was maybe 3 or 4 other events. There was Malibu Open in Milwaukee, which was, like, the sickest. We did that every year. And we would do, like, water ski awards with that. It was a really fun time back then. But yeah, so I was doing, like, Pro Wakeboard Tour, or Water Ski Tour, not Water Ski Pro Tour that we got now, but and then we were doing a bunch of Wilson Bros stuff, like, along the way. So it was pretty action-packed times.
Yeah.
With a lot going on, and, like, we had a ton of, like, just really, like, a ton of fun doing that, like, kind of doing our thing. And we had one, like, at that point with Nautique, like, they had come out, like, the 200 was out. It was a great boat. And Nautique was just very much like contests, like, about doing contests. And during that time, I would probably say I'd fallen out of love with contests. I definitely loved skiing contests, and I was very motivated to win during that time. And I don't know, like, I guess hindsight, like, maybe it was born in the fact that I wasn't getting, I wasn't having the results. Like, I wasn't making finals. I wasn't, you know, I was definitely not the best pro water skier. I was a very average pro water skier, but I loved skiing. And I, at that point, like, really fell in love with, like, the people I met along the way. So I'd been going to South Africa. I'd been going to Australia. I'd been doing, like, demo tours and coaching clinics all around the country, and met hundreds and hundreds of, like, amazing people, and was just loving coaching. And that was, like, I was just having more fun doing it. I was making money doing it. And I was like, this is way more viable than going to a pro event and spending $1,000 and leaving with nothing. And so, like, every time I did a pro event, I would tack a clinic on the back end of it and stay and do, so just basically pay for that trip. But I had more fun in that clinic day, and then, like, having dinner with the family that hosted, or the people that were there, every single time. I was like, this is way more enjoyable than, like, sitting on a site all day, taking a ski ride, running 3 or 4 at 39. Yeah, running 3 or 4 at 39, not making the cut, being bummed out. And I'd be stoked to go back and, like, make another video, or do, you know, just the fun. Like, I loved skiing. I loved coaching. I didn't love going to contests, but it's kind of just, like, seemed like a necessary evil. Like, there is no...
Well, like, free skiing, it's not like wakeboarding or other board sports where it's like, slalom skiing doesn't have this, like...
No, but I wanted it to be so badly.
Well, and you, like, kind of made it, though, with some of the videos, too, where it's
like, I mean, again, like, being inspired by, like, free surfers, like, I was like, man, if all I can do is, like, make videos and do this stuff, like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, like, Nautique was very much into contests. And we had done, like, a really cool, like, athlete spotlight video with Nautique, where we did... Like, it was basically like a Wilson Bros video shot by, like, Wolf, and Caden came out and shot photos. We're, like, Nautique staff photographers, video guys. We made a really fun piece. Like, we strapped a bicycle frame to water skis, and we're ripping by the dock and, like, doing, like, our typical dumb stuff. And I don't think it went over that as cool as we thought it was. They still released it. I think it's great. But it wasn't, we were definitely not in that mold.
Did it not fit the brand image as much as maybe another brand?
Yeah, so at that point, like, I mean, I had gotten to know Travis Moye really well through that time. So he was driving on Pro Wakeboard Tour, and so I got to know him. I'd started skiing out at the boarding school, and he had gotten him out, you know, he had a MasterCraft, obviously. And, like, because I was working on tour, MasterCraft was on tour. Like, I got to know Arn and Josh Shave and Jason Bourget, like, really well, and they were, like, stoked on what I, like, we'd be at Pro Wakeboard Tour, and we'd just, like, talk about what I was doing in skiing, too, you know, like, and they were always stoked on, like, different ideas, or I'd show them, like, photos I'd gotten in the mag, or different video ideas that we had, and they were like, that's sick, that's sick, that's sick. And so it just, like, it became way more of a natural fit for, like, me to be a MasterCraft guy.
Yeah.
Nautique didn't, like, I couldn't post that I was, like, out skiing at the boarding school because it was obviously a MasterCraft site. And I wanted to start coaching out there because I loved coaching and I loved doing all that. So basically, MasterCraft had released in the summer of 2013. They released a new boat. They hadn't had a new boat in 10 years, and they released the new ProStar, the previous version to what it is now, but very similar in boat. And it was sick, hands down, like the best boat that's out there. And so they had a great new boat, and they had, like they wanted to promote it, and like we fit that brand image. So I would say to this date, like Casey and I both talk about it still, like the most fun photo shoot we ever had was like we signed with MasterCraft in January 2014. And then that spring, like when they were shooting like the video for the ProStar, they were basically like, do whatever you want. Like, the floor is yours. Like, you guys do cool stuff. We like
music to your ears.
Yeah. And I was like, what? So we basically had a day at the boarding school. Like Trav was there. Trav drove the whole thing, obviously. And Casey and I just would like, we didn't plan anything though. Like looking back, like we were just like showed up and I was like, all right, what are we going to do? And so like we skied, like each took a set, like skied normal. And I was like, all right, you want to do that thing where we ski at the same time? And like went and grabbed Satori's, like our big wood wide ski, like ran the slalom course at the same time. Like just all the shenanigans, all the fun. Like ended up doing like a shot. I was like, had this idea and somebody had done it before, but I was like holding a buoy up in the water and then Casey like skied around me and it was like pretty, I think just like still one of the like coolest photos
so cool.
we
I'll
have.
put that
like,
photo in. It's
yeah,
badass. We
have like as brothers and like still to this day, like one of my favorite videos just to look back on, remember that day. And just like the photos are like pretty cool stuff. Like there's I didn't know about it till like probably 6 or 7 years after it was made. But it's like from that photo shoot, MasterCraft, like from that year, made like a big coffee table book, like 11 by 17, like really cool, like perfect bound, like hardcover. And it was like 20 pictures from that photo shoot. And like, because we were on MasterCraft, like we ended up shooting some of the other boats. Like me and Corey and the Moye family shot some of the wake boats and like we were in just some different stuff. So there's like, if the book's 100 pages, there's like a quarter of it are photos that I'm in. And I'm like, I didn't even know that it existed until like we were at Action in-house boat show in 2021, like post-COVID, no boat show in DeVos Place. So we're at Action and I'm like, what is this? Like what? This is like a book of me. This
on
is
FaceTime
great.
here.
Thanks, MasterCraft, for making this book that I never knew about.
You got to get your hands on a copy of those or one of those.
So I was like, can I have this? And they're like, no. I'm like, wait, what? It's like, it's 7 years old. Like, you guys don't need it. And they're like, no, we want it. It's cool. And I was like, okay. I thought this was like a no-brainer.
I thought you were my favorite dealership.
Yeah, well, and then then I couldn't steal it because I'm like pretty notorious for like, just, five-finger
discount.
Yeah. And so, but I like, because I asked, like, I can't just like take it because if they're going to like look for it, like,
Brooks took it.
Yeah. And so ended up like coming back and I told Adam McKay, one of our like sales reps, and the MasterCraft dealer in Seattle ended up like changing hands during that time. And he was down there and he was like, they had one and he got it for me. So I got one. I keep it on the coffee table at my house now for anybody that comes over. I make them sit down and flip through the pages.
You're going to look at every one of these.
Yeah. No, it's not over yet. No. Oh, we're keep going. No, let's just stay seated. We're going to keep looking through these pictures.
You said 100 pages, right? Or, I mean, sounds like a unit. Yeah. Big photos.
There's actually there's a funny story with that one. So during that in-house at Action, it was kind of slow. It was post-COVID, and we're there just in the dealership.
This is Action Watersports, a boat dealership up in Michigan.
Yeah, used to work there. Yeah. Shout out Action.
Absolutely.
So I was like in the ski area. There's like a coffee table and a couple chairs, couch. So I kind of sit there and like killing some time. One of the employees at Action, who I don't know, I'll say it, Mark Van Linton. He sat down, and I was like, "Hey, Mark, look, do you see this book?" And like made him take the tour. And one of the pictures at the end of the book is I'm jumping off the tower like on an inflatable orca, like a Shamu. And then Corey is standing on the back of the boat in a bikini. And he goes, "Man, that chick's got a nice ass." And I just went, "That's my wife." And he goes, just bright red. And I was like, he's like, "That's still a compliment." And I was like, "Yep, sure is."
I mean, you chuck a comment out like that, you got to expect something to happen. I mean,
but that one, that was a pretty good one.
I mean, I'm glad you got your hands on a copy.
Yeah, so got a copy of that
because that's timeless right there. You got to
Yeah.
have that. We did kind of skip over the MasterCraft deal. I mean, what's that looking like?
That was a good deal. So, so kind of, I mean, I wasn't in a place to negotiate. Like, I really wanted it. We were on $1,000 a month. And then, I don't know, like, so then I was starting to coach at the boarding school. Like, that was like part of the deal. Like, okay, I'm on MasterCraft, like, I'm going all in on this coaching thing. So I'm now like running like the ski portion of the boarding school. Trav's like, I mean, Trav owns it. It's his deal. But I was like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Like, and I would do bookings. I would do I kind of was like, hey, I'm going to run the ski side. Like, it's not any, like, it's not going to be added headache on you. Like, I'm going to do. And part of my deal with MasterCraft was, like, they had this new boat. They wanted leads on people that would ski behind it. They wanted people behind the new boat. And I got $25 for every new person that skied behind the boat. So, like, in a month, if 50 new people came, oh no, I should have done it easier. If 10 new people came, I got $250. And so, like, I think they severely underestimated how many people were going to come ski.
What do you mean by new people? Just people that haven't skied this MasterCraft yet?
Yeah, people that haven't skied at the boarding school, which was anybody, because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
So basically, like, everybody that came and skied, I took all their info, and then I made an Excel file, and I sent it to MasterCraft at the end of every month. So, like way better than sending 2 social media posts in for, by $200.
These are qualified leads right here.
Qualified leads. And it was awesome. I had 2 solid years of that in my deal, and it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
I don't think they thought that many people were going to come ski, and it was really good. I was pumped on it. But there wasn't like a ton of deliverables again in that contract. It was like, hey, we like what you guys are doing.
Keep doing it.
You guys are doing Wilson Bros. And so at that time, I guess, so we're at 20. So I worked Pro Tour 11, 12, 13, or 12, 13, 14. Yeah. I worked for Pro Tour for 3 years. And at that time, I'd also convinced or pitched or whatever. Like, things with Radar were going well. So at this point, I'm like not a pro skier by any like standard definition of the word, but I'm making a career at being a water skier, a coach, a whole thing. And I went to Radar, to Sully, and I was like, hey, I don't want to work Pro Tour anymore. I want to be a skier. Will you pay me what Pro Tour's paying me to just do Radar Nation full time? And then that's like what I'm going to do. And we went back and forth, and basically, like, he went to Paul and Brian, and they agreed to like give me that raise to go full time, like basically just be full time Radar. So I was doing social media, like running all of Radar's social, and then doing a lot of the photo shoot, kind of coordinating, organizing stuff, and then was doing Radar Nation Tour full time. And this is like the same time I'm doing boarding school. So was coaching mostly like winter, like everything except summer months, and then summer months was Radar Nation Tour. Like,
so what was Radar Nation, I guess?
So Radar Nation, like Radar Nation it's basically everybody that's like a phrase we coined up. We were in Texas at Nationals, and it was Rossi, Sully, and I just sitting at Plucker's Wings, having beers and wings, and we were like we need to create more of a community around Radar. So came up with Radar Nation, came up with a logo, whatever, hashtag, and that's like start of hashtags basically. And so, but basically just wanted to create like, this is the people that ride Radar skis, like this is the Radar Nation. And so to go with that was like, well, Radar Nation Tour makes sense, where we'll go partner with our dealerships, put on demo days. Like, if whether you already ride a Radar ski and you just want to come out, hang out, get a ski ride, and get your skiing looked at, get some coaching, if you want to try a new ski, we're going to have demo skis available. So that first year, I think we did like 8 stops, 8 different dealers or different sites. So not all of them are at dealers. Some are at like Cole Jacopuzzi, one of our skiers. He's lives on a ski lake and got a built-in community around there. So we'll do them at his site. But it was a day, basically come and try day. It was a demo day, like a glorified demo day with, I would say, better marketing around it. Like
a cohesive event.
Yeah, just a cohesive event series. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's nothing that's never been done. I mean, it's been happening for lots of years and, across wake and across ski, but it was kind of our new revised version of it. So, we do that and kind of get a ton of people met, again, like I was motivated by meeting these people and like getting feet in boots and like just having a lot of fun. And I think it was like good perspective of like the world is not tournament water skiing. Like skiing's not as big as wakeboarding. It's definitely not as big as wake surfing or any of those things, but like it's still happening. And it just because it's not happening at a tournament ski lake on a Saturday or Sunday doesn't mean that there's not like people that love it and are like, like my rant about like skiing is that it's just become about scores. There's no camaraderie. There's no competition even. It's like you ask someone like, hey, how'd you do at the tournament? They'll just tell you what score they ran. They won't tell you I got first or I got second. Like how'd you do at nationals? Oh, I ran 4:32 off. Well, what place did you get? Oh, I don't know. Like it's not a competition anymore, which I think it needs to get back to. But even outside of competitive water skiing, like 90% of the people that ski aren't even thinking about doing a tournament because they just want to ski with their buddies. Like some of my like best friends like are people that I've met along the way, like guys up in Maine, and they have an amazing ski crew and they wouldn't even think about entering a tournament. It's not like on their radar. They just want to have fun. They want to ski on Saturday. It's the Jersey boys, like this crew that I've known for, I met them at Wade's full circle, like I guess 2010. So 10 years after I'd gone to Wade's for the first time, there's this crew of guys from Jersey that come down and ski every year. And they've been doing it for 25 years, like since they were in their 30s and young and whatever, just young married dudes. And this was their getaway every year, the week after Thanksgiving. They've been doing it every year since like 2003, I think.
Jeez.
They've been coming down the week after Thanksgiving, started at Wade's. Now they come to the boarding school. Ruck did a really fun edit on them. We posted on Radar after they came last year. But like they ski in the morning. They ride their radars. They go out and run some buoys. And they have like fun. They talk about who got on the podium, like who got the best. Like it's a Chris won today. You got to slow down to catch up to him. He skis real slow. The rest of the guys ski at 34 or 32, but Chris goes about 28 and runs a lot of buoys because he's going 28 miles an hour. Shout out Chris. But it's like guys but then after they're done with their ski rides, you hear the grindage. You hear that margarita mixer making up a fresh batch of margaritas, and then it's, riding Cypress Garden skis, riding the disc, hopping on the shoe skis, all the fun things. Just like they're 20 years old, like Casey and I were just having fun. Yeah. Like, dude's 60 years old, Mr. Edge jumping off the top of the boathouse doing a barefoot start off the roof just because they love doing it. And it's like people like that I'm like, this is what skiing really is. Like skiing.
This is what water sports is.
Yeah, this is what water sport. Like you're from the Midwest. Like it's the Midwest, but that's everywhere. Like people just love boating. They love skiing. They love being behind the boat. They love doing fun stuff. That doesn't mean that you need to go out and run 4:38 off. Like I love going out and skiing and trying to ski as good as I can, but that's not like. I like skiing on Tuesdays with Travis and Joel because we have banter at the end of every pass. I like skiing with Casey because it's like really fun, and we're both competitive. We want to, like probably less now than we were 10 years ago, but it's like we drove each other to be better skiers, but we also just had a really fun time along the way. Like going back full circle, I'm rambly. I'll get there eventually. Perfect. But so when we signed with MasterCraft 14, I said there wasn't deliverables in the contract, but we were just pumped that people were pumped that we were doing it. So that's when we started Minute Mondays, and Minute Mondays was like every single Monday for I think we did 24 episodes, so 24 weeks in a row. Every single Monday we put out a minute-long edit, and it was just what happened that week before. Like no matter what it was, like it could have been one day, like it could have been that weekend before because Casey was in school. So if it was like during school year, it was like whatever we did on Saturday. So go sunrise ski set, whatever that was, and it was really fun during the summer because we were traveling full time, doing Radar Nation days, doing pro ski events, and just like living like that life. And so like for that full year, every single Monday, minute-long edit. That was, I guess, they were on Instagram then, but it was mostly for YouTube and for like the Ball of Spray website. Was just like a minute-long glimpse, and it was like whether we were. I know one of them, like we were in Calgary at the MasterCraft Pro event, and it was, some of the skiing, but exploring Calgary downtown. We were in Texas doing a Radar Nation day. We went to a water park, like after we were done, and like half the videos us ripping slides or like just road trip, like time lapses of of doing the road trips, being at Radar, like whatever we did that week was what made up the video. And it was really fun. And like, it was like kind of like vlog style of what we were doing. And then that same year, we did a video called Stare, which was Patrick Whelan shot it. I got to know him just like through wake stuff. And that's like one of the videos I'm most proud of. Like that was like, I mean, it was all, there wasn't really shenanigans in that one. It was just like, it was skiing, but it was shot on a red and 4K and, you know, just some like really beautiful boarding school mornings of just like what we thought a cool edit would be. Like, and I mean, it got a lot of views. It was cool. It was like a fun project and it was like just something that like was stoked to have like our stamp on. And then, got the hard drive at the end of it and like remashed it into a bunch of different stuff too, because we had just like sick red footage that we could use.
Yeah, a ton of good footage.
Yeah. And it was like, I mean, boarding school is one of the most photographic places out there. Like you get these crazy foggy mornings and then you get just like insane sunrises, sunsets. And yeah, so that was like, that 2014 year was massive. Like started coaching boarding school, like peak Wilson Bros for Minute Mondays and putting out that Stare video and just like, that was, I would say, like, as far as being, like, pro skier, that was, like, when I was definitely the most, like, stoked on it. And that was kind of the transition from doing a lot of those events to, like, well, 2014, 2015 was, like, was peak pro, like, you know, making, you know, decent money from Radar, doing Radar Nation tours and that kind of stuff, doing coaching at the boarding school, going to these events, doing all that. And then, like, that was kind of 2014, 2015. And then 2016... Casey was graduating school and like he was like it was the end of like probably Wilson Bros we knew it. Like I knew he had a job that he was starting like in like August 1st, I think. There was a deadline. Yeah. And so he got out of school in June, graduated, and it was like Wilson Bros last hurrah. Like we were, you know, driving around the country doing our thing, doing Radar Nation tours, doing events. We went up to like to this site Pangea in New York, and that was like Junior US Open. We were too old to ski in it, but they like brought us up to host the event. Like we did all the MC stuff, hung out, just like doing our thing. When we went from there to Seattle, that was the very first Herb's Cup. So we went straight from there to Herb's Cup in 2016. And that was not at Radar. We did it on this river, this place called Crescent Bar. It's super cool. Just about 3 hours outside of Seattle, and it's like where Herb grew up. It's a trailer park on the Columbia River, and it's like when I talk about like ski communities or community water sports communities, it's like quintessential like your people, you know, like you're there, and it's like you're going. Radar Lake's a vortex, Crescent Bar's a vortex. Like there was this bar called the Sand Trap that you just walk in at 9 and stumble out at 2, and it was like. It wasn't even like stumbling out like but it was just like those people were like the coolest, the like just water sports people.
You'd be there till 5 a.m. If
it was just and it's not because you're doing shots or drinking beers, which you are doing, but it's just because like the people are rad and it's like your people all in one place. And so we did that trip, and then that was in June, and then kind of something or no, that was the end because he started in July. That's what it was. So we came back from that, and then. I was like, well, that's last hurrah. And then I'd gone, Corey and I went to Taiwan. It was super cool. They did this, I don't know, you wouldn't have seen that one coming.
Nope. Didn't. Everything so far, I've been like, okay, we're tracking Taiwan. Nope, didn't see that.
Only remember, so we got back from that trip. Casey had started his job. Corey and I went to Taiwan. She was like full on WWA at this point, running wake, and they flew her over to do like the full blown wakeboard event, Taiwan Wake Open. I don't know, some name. And they were like, hey, your husband's a skier. We have like a bunch of skiers in this club. Like, why don't we don't have a course, but let's do a free ski competition. I was like, sure, I'll go. Like, whatever. Like, this will be fun. So we went over, we get there and like, so what do you want to, how do we do a free ski competition? I'm like, we just like, I don't know, you just want to ski? And they're like, yeah. Like, okay, well, we'll go and we'll like you guys do turns and we'll see who like does the most turns in this bridge to bridge in the river. So the first guy goes and he's like, hey, you did a dozen turns, that was great. Next guy goes like wake, he's just like hop 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 hop, does like 50, and he's like, did I do more? And I'm like, well, yeah. And then we go back to the dock. There's like 4 guys, and the next day, how many did he do? I was like, well, he did 50, but he kind of didn't really do turns. And then from that moment on, it was just like, who could cross it? Like not like trough to trough, like barely going inches outside the wake. And I was like, oh, this is not really what I anticipated this being. But we had a rad time, like the wake event, and we like explored like night markets in Taiwan. It was rad. Random story. So Corey had gone to the event that morning, and I stayed back at the hotel I don't know why. And I walked down and they had breakfast in the lobby. And there's like a bowl of what I found out was eggs, but they were like deep purple, and I thought it was plums. I don't blame it on jet lag. I don't know. But I grabbed this bowl of what I thought was plums, and I bit into it, and it was a like hard-boiled egg soaked in vinegar. And I was just like, it probably was fine, but I was not expecting it. And like, there's like, I'm just in a room with like these people from Taiwan, and I'm like, I don't want to be rude. I just like swallowed it, stuck this egg in my pocket, just walked out and threw it in the bushes outside the restaurant. But that was, I guess to bring that up, that was the last straw. So from there, we flew back to Orlando. Corey was going to another wake event, and I was going to dealer days up at Radar Lake. You know, we do dealer days is like the first week of August traditionally, and that's where we launched all the new product. So we just did it a month ago, launching the 2025 range. It goes sales meeting where just all the sales reps are in, and they get kind of up to date on everything that's new, see that new product range, and then the next week all the dealers fly in for seeing the new product range, getting to ride it, getting to ski on it, and hanging out at Radar Lake. It's like the best time of the year. So I flew up for that. Just I would go to kind of just, you know, Sully was brand manager at that point, and he would do the presentations, but I'd be there to kind of offer input and, you know, help, you know, drive the boat for dealers that want to be on it and all that stuff. So during that week, it came out Sully was going to move to MasterCraft. He'd taken a job as a regional sales manager for MasterCraft. And I remember during that week, you know, it's a lot of fun, but one of the things we did was we went to a Mariners game. So we'd all got on a party bus and headed down to go watch a Seattle Mariners game. And I was hanging out with Hargrave and Stu Wilson. We had kind of just like, that was our little crew. We'd broken off. We were walking around the stadium, having beers, throwing pitches, seeing who could throw baseball the fastest. But then the whole group met up at this like, you know, left field bar that was kind of like up on the third level. And I remember getting up there, and Paul O'Brien like looks at me and he like waves me over. And I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Hey, Sully's going to MasterCraft. Do you want to be brand manager?" And just like out of left field. And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Sully's leaving. He's going to MasterCraft. Do you want to be the brand manager?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, this is all I've ever dreamed of. Like, I'm like, I made a clear decision at this point 6 years ago that like I'm going all in on skiing. Like, I'm going to figure out how to make this work. I'm going to travel the world coaching. I'm going to bust my ass to get to a place where like skiing is it. And like, you're telling me I get to run a water ski company? Like, I did it. Like, this is insane. I was like, yeah, I got to talk to Corey. I don't know the details. Like, and he's like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, cool. Well, if you got me, I'm in. Like, let's do this. So it was just like so surreal. And then there's like 50 people that have no clue what's going on. So like nobody knew Sully was leaving at that point except Paul. Like, Sully had told Brian Gardner, who's the president. Brian called Paul. Paul's like, I guess I'll talk to Brooks at the baseball game. Like, they had talked at some point, and they were like, well, he's the guy. And so like, and now I'm like celebrating, but nobody knows. Like, I haven't told anybody. So we're up there just pounding beers. We're on a party bus back. Stu Wilson, who's our distributor in Australia, raddest dude ever. Him and I are dancing. He's just having a good time. He doesn't know why I'm having such a good time, but we're dancing up and down the bus, just like having the freaking time of our lives, whatever. And then, you know, a little buzzed up, a little having fun. Not everybody's on the same level. So you got, 50 people on this party bus. I'm dancing up and down the hallways, just trying to get people hyped, I don't know why I'm so happy, but I'm happy. And this guy, our distributor from Poland, had just bought some fresh white Adidas shoes, and I was stepping on them a lot. And so I'd made a trip to the front of the bus, tried to get him up. He jumps up, like double cuffs my shirt, and he goes, "Stop stepping on my shoes." And I was like, it was immediate, like, all right, I think we're taking it a step back here. But yeah, so that's the night that I got offered the brand manager position at Radar. And so talked to Sully that same night, like got back to the lake and called. I was like, hey, what's like, you know, and we talked and then kind of told Corey that next day. And then we went straight from there. So like that kind of finished out. I was kind of on the tail end of dealer days. We went from there to Waterski Nationals, and Sully and I were there together. He was still like, he'd given, you know, 2 weeks. So he was going to finish through Waterski Nationals, and then he was going to start with MasterCraft. So we spent a ton of time talking that week, but it still wasn't like nobody knew. So like Sully knew, I knew, Corey knew, and Brian and Paul knew. But it wasn't like they hadn't told any sales reps. It was like, hey, we're going to figure this out before like we make an announcement. And so kind of, you know, I'd been talking to them, and we, you know, came like, hey, I got to finish this stuff up. Like I have this obligations. I got these ski rides. I got these people booked to the boarding school. Surf Expo is in a month. Like, let's get through, like, I'll stay up for another week after Nationals, kind of do some office. I got a week in the office. I'll go back to Orlando, pack everything up, get things finished, do Surf Expo, and then I'll come up to Seattle. And it was off to the races. Like we kind of like did all that, made it happen. But I'll never. I hadn't had a chance to talk to Travis Moye yet. So he like I still work there. Like I saw him every single day. He's like my best friend, and like that's my guy. Like that's like he's my guy. And I woke up the day they were going to make the announcement, and I was gonna call him that morning before, and I woke up and I had a text from him, and it was like, "Thanks for letting me know." And I'm just like,
heart sinks.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that. And I'll never forgive Ferraro for it, because Ferraro called him, because like nobody really knew, but Paul and Ferraro talk every day, so Ferraro knew, and Ferraro can't help himself. He's a good gossip. He called Travis and was like, "Man, I can't believe Brooks is leaving." And Travis was like, "What are you talking about?" And yeah, still haven't forgot that one, Ferraro. But that was so that was like a stoked day to like wake up and like, all right, this is going to be the news, and wake up to that. I was pretty gutted. To like, one, I felt like I was letting my guy down. Yeah. And I was like, and he like quickly was like, "Man, I'm so excited for you. This is amazing. What an opportunity."
He's a stand-up guy.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, he understood, but he was like, you're hurt when you not just like the guy that works for you, but the guy that your
boys.
Friend, yeah, doesn't tell you what's going on. And like I called him straight away, like, because we were on West Coast, like 3-hour time difference. So they talked that morning. I didn't wake up, so we talked, and he was like, "Man, I'm just so excited. I'm excited for you. This is amazing. Like everything you ever dreamed, blah, 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 blah." But it was like definitely that like sinking feeling of that. And so, yeah, that was kind of like, that was like hard transition right there, of like, okay, I'm not a pro skier anymore. The Wilson Bros thing was kind of fading out because Casey, had graduated, was getting a job. I was, fully content doing boarding school and doing that stuff, but it was kind of like perfect timing for all of that to take place. And so, man, I remember at that point, like, keys to the kingdom.
At the age of what, 26?
Yeah, 26.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, like, just like, here's a brand, you got this. But yeah, it was, but I was like, so I was 26 years old, moved to Seattle. Corey and I had been married 2 years. She's a saint. She's the freaking best. Like, that's my ride or die. I'm the luckiest man alive. Like, she's like, "Hey, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing." Like, she talked to WA. Shannon was like, "Yeah, you can do it from out there. Like, you can work East Coast hours." And she's like, "Cool, I'll wake up I'll work from 6 to 2 every day." Like,
kind of once you get used to it, pretty sick.
No, it was like,
but she has to be willing to do it, though.
Yeah, so we're earlier. The whole time I was there, like, we're up at 5:30, and that's like kind of just starting your day. So we moved out there, and we knew, like, obviously I knew all the radar people. I had some friends that were out there, but it was like, we're in a whole new world. Like, grew up, lived in Orlando my whole life. She's from Tennessee, had moved here to be a pro wakeboarder. We had met, started dating. She ended up staying longer. And then she, had her, whole transition from being a pro wakeboarder into being the executive director of WWA. And so it was just like our lives had kind of transitioned similar times to, like, neither of us were pro athletes anymore.
Behind the scenes aspect more, yeah.
Yeah, and so it made, it was an exciting time to, like, start the career side of our lives kind of thing. And yeah, but I mean, I remember being so stoked of like, man, I'm running a water ski company. Like like there was nothing, like Radar was in an amazing spot, like slowly built an amazing brand, had done it for 10 years and like built a beautiful company, amazing, graphics, marketing, the whole thing. But I was just like, man, I can't wait to like live up to this legacy. Like he's created, like Herb is the godfather of water sports. Sully's taken this job and done amazing. Like I got some big shoes to fill it, but I am so excited to do it. Like I can't wait to like come up with new marketing ideas, to do these videos, to like really create that community. And like Radar was never like this crazy like tournament 41 off brand, right? And I think like through what I'd realized through coaching and traveling the world is like it didn't need to be. Like we could market to the masses and have like better products. Like the Senate ski that Radar makes is the best out there for everybody to jump on and go.
Is that the most popular ski, would you say?
Yeah, far and away.
Okay.
Like,
I was going to ask that
in the water ski industry, like the Senate is the best selling ski on the market because it rips. Like anybody can jump on it and feel at home on a Senate. But like you can get so fixated on like the Senate's going to sell because it works really well. But if like all your marketing is just tournament, like it's not relatable to those people that are seeing it or doing that. And so like, continuing to speak that language, to build videos and create content that is about, the masses. Like one of the first things I did was like this campaign called Frontiers Are Where You Find Them. And it was like this line from a movie, but I was just like, thought it was cool. Like create your own, I wrote a whatever tagline and created a website where people could upload photos of where they ski, was kind of the idea of like, where's your frontier? Frontiers are where you find them. And it was like, launched it and like hundreds of photos came in of people just like posting their ski sites at like the lakes they were on, their ski crew, like this whole thing. It was like continuing like that Radar Nation idea of just like the community, people, the people make it what it is. It's not about the end product. It's about the people. It's about that community and creating that. And I think that's always like what's driven me, like that camaraderie, like that ability to like create a band that's relatable and for
like
everyone.
On this koozie you got, does it say "Just Go Ski" on there somewhere? Because I feel like I've seen that all over the place. And that like,
that's our big tagline: "Just go ski."
Yeah, and I feel like that is the most relatable thing with any like sport. Just go wakeboard, just go snowboard, like just go do the fucking sport. Like
exactly. You don't need to talk. Like, it doesn't need to be this whole thing. Just do it.
Just go do it because that's
Nike,
what's fun,
baby. Just do it.
Exactly. Sick. I love that. I think we dive into the LF'n wheel of questions before we dive back more into Radar. So yeah, you can go ahead and grab that down there.
I like this new setup. I feel like I'm not going to break a shelf. Like I've definitely probably would have on your old.
We'll see, but that's good content.
Yeah.
So,
did anybody ever break it?
No, not on camera. I broke it a couple times off camera. And this one, Brooks was making a comment on this shelf here.
Not straight. Not
well, you think it could be the house, though, right?
Could be.
Could be the house.
I think it's the shelf.
I think it's probably the shelf.
Could be the house. I do think it is the shelf. Or everything else is really unlevel.
That would be impressive if I got all that stuff
if
on
everything else is unlevel, but the shelf is straight.
It's like one of those houses you walk in that's all crooked. All right, so
upside down house.
LF'n wheel questions presented by Liquid Force. So Liquid Force likes to make wakeboarding fun. So let's make this podcast a little bit more fun by spinning the LF'n wheel of questions.
The LF'n wheel of questions.
Okay, let's go. Thanks, Don.
Yeah, we got some good ones.
I like Donnie. I'm really a Colin O'Malley guy, though. Shout out Colin O'Malley. That's my boy. I like all the LF boys. They got a good rep crew. My boy Neil.
They do.
Mosley.
Yeah.
Patrick Cern is with us, my boys.
Hey, look, throwing some names out there.
Ollie D.
Ollie D.
It's a fresh addition.
Fresh face.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give that a spin. We got a question on there and then a wild card. That's a good spin.
Okay. Fresh can.
So for those who are listening, it is a long drink chug. And fortunately, that was a freshie. So
that was to the top.
That was a fast one.
I do chug well.
Out of a can, too.
Oh, it's my special.
That's impressive.
You should see a pint glass.
See, in my day, have been known to chug decently fast.
Yeah, but milk, gross.
No beer.
Thank goodness. I wouldn't have done it. I would have felt
You would have had to do it.
I wouldn't have.
You would have done it.
I'm lactose intolerant. I would have puked on you.
Again, good content.
Good content. I have a hard time denying good content. So.
All right, so we got an LF and wild card, though. So a little bonus here from the crew at LF. And they're wondering what's the most ridiculous piece of water skiing advice you've ever heard somebody give, or you've heard that somebody heard.
No, I got you.
Okay.
So, we didn't ski, right? I mean, we skied, but my parents, like, well, my mom skied. My dad really never skied. He does now, like, or did. I got into it because that's what we were doing. But he wanted to help, right? Like, I'd started skiing. We didn't really know what we were doing. We're figuring it out. Like, luckily I was skiing with Wade and got some really good coaching. But we were mostly skiing on our own and just figuring it out. But my dad had figured out that if I turned and pulled my arms in, that I went faster, which is maybe true, but it is terrible coaching advice. Because if you pull your arms in, all you're doing is like giving yourself speed and slack. And line tension's your friend. If you don't know, now you know. Line tension's all you need. You can go anywhere. Look at Trent Stuckey.
Facts.
And Joel Poland. But
also,
line tension's your friend. Pulling your arms in as you're cutting, one, there's a boat pulling way harder than you are. Not great. Two, just terrible advice. But he was trying. So the worst piece of advice that you can give somebody is after they turn to just pull their arms in so they can go faster. So thanks, Dad, for trying, but it didn't do it for me.
Okay.
So I think I mentioned I had started skiing with this guy, Lucky Lowe, who's a legend. And I hate that term.
Legend?
Yeah. It's just so overplayed.
It's so overplayed.
But he is. He's like he's a true legend. A real one, not an Instagram one. But so my dad, we'd met him at a tournament, like a regionals down at Okeechobee down in West Palm. And we'd stopped skiing with Wade and we were looking for someplace. So we went to Lucky's and our like first set, that long drink burp is coming, there we go.
Okay, went down quick.
First set, I was like turning and like pulling my arms in, and he goes, stop at the end. He goes, "Why are you pulling your arms in?" I go, "He told me. He said to." And he's like, "That's terrible. Don't ever do that." He goes, "You want to let your arms out and pull as hard as you can." And that was Lucky's MO. And it's like, Lucky gets like, I wouldn't be the skier I am today. Coming back. If it wasn't for Lucky. Like, he taught me so much. Timing, like, slalom course is all timing, and he is notorious for that timing. And he, like, so his thing is he just, like, when you turn, he just yell pull, like, pull, and you cross the wakes, you go, whoop, or he'd whistle, and just to teach you, like, that cadence, that timing. And if you did it wrong, he'd turn the boat around. Like, wouldn't let you keep skiing bad. Just, like, you'd be turning, you did it wrong, boom. Like a Malibu, which are notorious for, like, bat turn quick, just whip that boat around. Nope, stop. Let's go again. Like, because ski course is 6 buoys. You do it wrong at the first buoy, you're going to do it wrong the next 5. And he's like, "You're not waste it." Yeah, don't do it 5 more times wrong. Like, let's do it right. And so the amount of times that boat would turn, especially in those like first days with Lucky, like, it was a lot. That boat turned around a lot, and I started over a lot. But I give him so much credit for like teaching people the right way. Like, back in that time, I was 13, 14, like, pretty, learning a lot. I hadn't been done it that long, so like learning to ski, and like it was myself, this guy Brandon Barrett, Two-Handed Brandon, Danielle Shipe, like, and we were all skiing really well, like skiing well at nationals, doing junior masters, like all local skiers, and like all skiing with Lucky, and he was just like, work hard behind the boat, stand up, turn, work hard behind the boat, and like I still like a lot of like. I do it a very different way than Lucky did. I got a very different style for sure. But like the fundamentals of what he taught are still so true. Like I remember the first time I went there too. I was walking down the dock to ski, and there's a woman coming back just crying, bawling her eyes out. It's like, "Don't do it. Don't ski with him." Like, because he'll yell at you. He's like, so I'm pretty blunt, honest person. Tell you whatever, how I feel straight to your face. Travis Moye is the same way. We both ski with Lucky, and I'm pretty sure that's why we're like a lot of that just like comes from him. And we both are very different in the way that we coach than probably what Lucky did. But like, I'm a big believer in just being honest.
You're just cutting through the BS. You're not wasting time.
No, and I think it's like respectable in that way of just like, hey, this you know where you stand straight away, and like. Yeah. Guilty of cutting through the pleasantries at times, and like, hey, let's get to the point, but
I like that a lot. It is. All right. Well, thanks to Liquid Force for that. We can go ahead and put that back.
I feel like there's some.
You want to do something else on there?
Yeah, let's give her another spin.
Long drink chug would be wild.
Oh, 3 most influential skiers.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was gonna ask best style on a ski, so maybe you can do both those.
I'll do both those. I'll start with best style.
Yeah.
Well, best.
I only have one name that I can think of.
Who?
Marcus Brown. That's
He does have good style.
But I mean, I'm sure there's tons of others.
Yeah. So I get like my OG answer, like my straight right where my head goes is Jamie Beauchesne, which you probably don't know him.
Can we get clips? Can I get clips on the internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'll if you can't find them, I'll send them to you. But Jamie Beauchesne is like the original, like, badass water skier. Like he was, like he broke the world record in France. Ran I think it was 1.5 at 43 off. But he had this sickest style. He was a lefty and has like pioneered the one, like kind of same age as Marcus, but like had in my eyes like just the coolest style of just like power behind the boat and just so smooth, like no offside, like everything flowed and just like move through. And like to me, that's style on a ski. Like I always like when I do a pitch through the radar line, one of the things I talk about is carrying constant speed, like not slowing down, stopping, and then reaccelerating. Like when you can move through a turn and just like be that smooth, like that to me is what looks the coolest. And like Jamie was the king of that. Just like no offside turn, like come up, like move through 135, which is onside, just power through, and then like stand up over the ski and just like drop in through his 2.4, and just like the coolest style there is.
You just said move through 135 onside. I think I understand what you mean by that,
Right,
but I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah. So like onside, offside, toe side, heel side. So
Gotcha.
your onside is your heel side. It's more natural to like turn through that. So he was a left foot forward skier. His left foot's in front, which means like that would be what's the equivalent of heel side. So the way he would drop through like his onside turn or his heel side turn, just so smooth. And he'd come into his offside, which would be like toe side, which is same as wakeboarding, like less natural, like way like less. You kind of
twisted against the boat. Or whatever,
your hips are going one way, your feet in the boat, but he would just like stand up over it and just like power through. And then kind of like along those same lines, there's a guy named Thomas Moore who was like. He lives on Lake Rose, just up the road from when I got off of Good Homes. He's right there. But he was a like really good skier, skied for Radar, and just like that same smooth style. Like Rossi made a video called Slash, and he has a section in it, and it is like the just perfect. Like if I have a picture in my mind of someone like riding a water ski, it's that. Like it's so good. Thomas Moore, Jamie Beauchesne.
I'll put clips into those.
Yeah, and then Jamie Beauchesne used to, I think there's like best trick, I don't know. But Jamie Beauchesne used to do this thing. Oh, it's like steel trick. Is there steel trick?
Steel trick, but I took it off.
So steel trick.
We'll do it right
if
now.
I was going to steal a trick, I would steal Jamie Beauchesne's. He did this like just ollie 360. Like not like while he was skiing, but like so if he was like he did it at Masters one year. Like so Masters, big pavilion on the lake. He turned 3-ball, which gave him the win. Like cut through the wakes, let go of the handle, jumped, and just did like 360, stuck it, and like skied into the dock. And like can see it in my mind.
Yeah.
Perfect right now. It was like the coolest thing ever. Like so skiers will do like a TikTok, like you know what that is.
I've seen
like,
Joel do them.
Joel does them, or a lot of people do. But like jump up, 180, land, flip around, come back. Yeah. But like standing 360 is like it's wild. I don't know. Like I think Joel. We talked to Joel about it at photo shoot. I don't know if he's done one yet. He could do it for sure. But it's like. It looks sick, and nobody does it, so I think it's even more of a novelty. Like,
I just don't understand how you can like muster up the rotation.
Yeah, like you're going fast, but you like jump and just boom, and then just
that's sick.
Is the coolest. I don't know that you'll find video of that. I know you won't, but if you do, I'll be freaking psyched.
I'll try.
I'll see it. I'll watch it.
3 most influential skiers.
Oh yeah, so get back to the original question.
This is good though.
Andy Mapple, like he is. I mean, Andy Mapple, Wade Cox go hand in hand. Like the two best dudes, and like at the biggest point of water skiing. I mean, those two kind of go hand in hand with the Andy Wade dynamic. Chris LaPointe is like a name I don't know that you would know that, but he.
I did, yeah.
He has done so much for skiing. Like him and his brother Bob were like, they did so much progressing of scores. Like this, like from first guys to run 38 off, run 39 off. Like they were like not just like skiing really well, but also like designing skis at the same time. Like they were designing skis for MasterCraft. Like MasterCraft used to have a ski brand. Then they were doing O'Brien. Like they had their own brands, like sub brands. Like
at least isn't LaPointe,
and LaPointe still is a brand.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Chris LaPointe. I mean, Bob LaPointe still helps out with HO. Chris LaPointe has is doing his own brand. He was helping Mapple with Mapple skis, and then now he's doing LaPointe skis and builds them out of a trailer like off Sand Lake right there. And just like a dude that has, again, like devoted his life to skiing and progressing and ski design and all that. And like, he's got Cole McCormick riding his ski and skiing absolutely insane right now. Got, pro win this year. And like, it's cool. Like a guy that has had that influence on ski design.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'll say Herb O'Brien, as my final. If we just like, I don't know that, it's hard to imagine what the water ski world would look like without his hand in that game.
Water sports.
Yeah, of all water sports, of like what it would be without. I mean, I'm sure like it would still be here, but it's like, I mean, he has pioneered through shapes, through materials, through every aspect of it. Like it's not, like he's amazing marketing, hired people to do amazing marketing, created like I've said it before, but like marketing's nothing if the product isn't behind it, So like he had amazing marketing, but he also had the product to back it and to like create that and go like yeah. So
those are some names right there. Holy cow!
Right. Okay. It's influential.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, is there any other ones you want to do on here before we put it back?
I'm guessing this times people thought you weren't a pro skiers from Freddie.
And that one will come up again anyway, so we can.
All right,
we might
skip that one. And hottest water ski take.
Do that one. Do hottest water ski take. You got to have something after that long drink went down in 4 seconds. There's got to be something.
Hottest water ski take.
Yeah.
Water Ski Pro Tour is good for everyone.
I feel like that's a cold take, or is in the water ski industry? Is that
there's some people that
because outside looking in?
Yeah. No, I mean I think I'll stop with that.
We'll leave it there. Okay.
Yeah. Wear slam.
I'll retweet that.
That's probably that face digger.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Long drink chug again. Run it back.
Run it back. Love it. Well, thanks to Liquid Force for that. That was a lot of good stuff in there. I think we dive back into radar because you touched on getting into it, but I just want to know at a higher level, what are you actually responsible for when you're the brand manager of Radar Water Skis?
So I get through leaving Radar, I've thought about it more than ever before because like while you're doing it, you're just doing it, right? Like there's not really time to think about like what you're doing. I try to stop and look at it from 30,000 feet, but you're just doing it. So I kind of divided up into 3 things, like sales, production. Where's the third thing? Marketing. Too many long drinks. But basically everything with that Radar name on it.
Yeah. So
sales, production, marketing, like you're looking at all of those avenues. Sales and marketing kind of go hand in hand. But so it all starts with creating the line. So like at the beginning of a year, I'll, basically sit down and say, this is what Radar is going to be for 2025. And it's just an Excel sheet. Paul and I both do it the same way. And it's an Excel sheet with every product we're going to make. And there's a different tab for each category, really. It's like basically making what ends up becoming the order form. So list of skis, from vapor down to sessions to combo skis to kneeboards. Is it going to be just a new graphic? Is it going to be carryover? Is it going to be a new shape? And sit down and for every single product, for every life jacket, pair of gloves, T-shirts, down to a Coldy Holdy or a buoy or a rope handle, everything. Just say like, hey, this is going to be a new product. This is going to be a carryover product. This is going to be, and then just like, hey, this is a whole new product that we're going to create for this year. And so it starts with that. You build that framework out. And then you sit down with art departments, with product managers, with engineers to how do we create this? So it's a lot of kind of those kickoff meetings of how are we going to get this? All right, Rossi, you're in charge of ski design. We're doing a new vapor. We're going to talk to Rossi, to Matt, to those guys and say, hey, what are we going to do? How are we going to make the vapor better than it was last year? And then that carries down the range. to different gloves. Hey, this glove's, and then a lot of that, like you're looking at sales numbers. Hey, this is where inventory lies. Based on inventory levels, we need to carry for another year. Based on this is what sales are, this is what inventory is. Okay, we can't do a new product this year. A lot of times when we make a new product, we set like an ideal sales cycle. So hey, this boot is going to be a 4-year boot. This boot's going to be a 2-year boot. This life jacket's going to be 3. This life jacket's going to change every year. Apparel generally changes every single year. And then you work backwards of like what takes the longest to what gets put together the fastest, and you kind of prioritize. Everything goes through the art department. So we have 2 amazing artists, Sam and Britt, that literally every product touches their computer screen, from a Coldy Holdy to a vapor graphic. It gets drawn up by one of those 2 people. And I set that in that same framework of like, hey, Britt, you're doing this. Hey, Sam, you're doing this. There's like 3 columns. Is the product new, carryover, and then who's doing the art for it. And then kind of work backwards on skis, take the longest to come together. So we're going to start with ski art, and then a lot of times you'll start with a digital print, and then that'll go to screen printing. Roundsy does all soft goods, so vests, gloves, ropes, handles, all that stuff. Sit down with him. Hey, this is where we want this to match this. We want this. Hey, let's go kind of loud and crazy with that. It's going to be a 1-year thing. And then same with what is now Jackson and boots. Hey, this is what we're doing with footwear. This is kind of, we just introduced a whole new chassis. Started with the guy before Jackson, Patrick, of creating a whole new mounting system for our boots that's now compatible with every ski on the market. It's interchangeable front and back boots. Is really a huge thing for Radar skis this year. Started with Patrick, who did boots before Jackson is now in that role. And Jackson took all that through the finish line. But sitting down with those different product managers to take it there. But then also just coming up with ideas of like, hey, so I sit down with the art department and basically a big mood board. And it's a Dropbox folder full of images. It's got snowboard graphics in there. It's got just random collage of photos, everything from Pinterest, Google Images, things I've seen at, surf shops or skate shops or ski shops. This is just like pulling inspiration from everywhere. And then this is where I'd like to kind of see this. This is the color palette, so a lot of like looking just at like colors and things that we're going to do there. And then like from that gets like the product side rolling. And then there's production side, so managing, forecasting how much we're going to sell, which is a lot, goes hand in hand with sales, of talking to the sales guys of how things are looking, talking to shops, how our inventory is like on your end, and just creating basically product lines through that of just like, this is what things look like. This is kind of trends that are happening. Rely a ton on feedback from pro shops, from relying on those guys for information of like, this is what, we're seeing on our end. This is where inventory, this product's super hot right now. And a lot of that is like going to boat shows and just seeing how people interact with products of like, hey, random guy walks in the booth. What's the first ski that he walks up and picks up? That'll tell you, like, he doesn't know anything about it. If he does know, then why did he pick it up? Yeah. You just start talking to him. But just seeing how people interact with products, what they naturally gravitate toward, like, kind of influences a lot of that stuff. And, sales guys are really the face of our brand. Like, we have amazing sales team, and they're the ones that are in the shops. They're the ones that taking, shop kids out on boats, out on demos. They're the ones kind of rely a lot on them. I would try to go see it firsthand and see kind of how that product was, like talk to dealers a lot, but also you're relying a ton on sales guys for their feedback of what they're seeing, the conversations they're having with those shops too. Yeah. But so a lot of like a brand manager is like, I always say it's like creating a funnel. Like you start really wide and you're just like, that it needs to be in a catalog or in a white tent in August, and you're just like feeding everything through. So you get first round of samples. Hey, we need to tweak this. Hey, that didn't turn out. Hey, we need to cut this. Hey, we need to do this. And then that whole time you're analyzing sales too. Hey, this is looking great, but it didn't sell in well, so we're going to put that on the back burner and hopefully that we can introduce that product next year. And that's, since COVID, that's been a huge thing of managing just inventory levels. Like the first 4 years that I did the job, like it wasn't as much of a thing because, COVID, crazy spike in sales. We couldn't get stuff. We're going to get as much stuff as we can. Okay, sales stop. We have a ton of stuff. Dealers have a ton of stuff. Okay, inventory management's has been a huge factor in the kind of what products are being able to bring back to the market. I think we're in a pretty good place industry-wise right now as far as like inventory is concerned. Now it's just like, what does sales look like? I think I literally at Double or Nothing, I was talking to somebody about it, but like, I think every single brand out there would say like, we wouldn't take the spike in sales that we had if like knowing what we know now. Like we would have just like taken like slow and steady, like let's keep moving, let's keep kind of like having predictable, forecastable, normal numbers to like end up at a place.
I gotta ask. In that spike, was there never conversations of this isn't going to last? We're going to have a very low valley after this.
Yeah, there's lots of conversations, but there's also like dealers calling you going, I need life jackets right now. Make as many as you can. I need them.
We can sell
and
them
they're
for
not just calling us. They're calling
is,
us. They're calling Hyperlite. They're calling Liquid. They're calling O'Brien. And they're telling all of that. So everyone's making more. Like, I can get these orders. Like, it's not greed. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. We are so just like water sports is now $1 billion industry.
We need to
yeah, like, but when you have your customers calling you saying like, I need this product, like you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you don't get caught with your pants down, like, and so everyone has inventories full of product, like, because of it. Like, no one thought that it was going to last forever, but you don't know how long it's going to last, and you don't want to be – everyone didn't have product. And so everyone's like, if we have product, we can sell it.
And you can't just sit there and be like, well, we're just going to wait this out.
Yeah, because
and not sell it.
Yeah, because someone else is going to sell that product.
Yeah.
Right? And so you just had so much saturation of product out there. Absolutely.
I mean, that's got to be a wild time to navigate beginning, middle, and end of COVID, with the spike.
And like, I mean, obviously Square One's one company. I mean, Ronex saw a way bigger spike than what Radar saw. Like, but at the same time, like, it's still like, so Radar's been able to have more new products throughout that whole process because the spike wasn't so big. Because, like, I mean, life jackets were like, so you got COVID. Everyone's buying new stuff, but you're buying accessories more than you're buying.
Well, because you're getting a new boat.
Yeah. So like, hey, we need new life jackets. We need ropes and handles. We need this stuff. Like, not everyone's getting a new wake. Like, everyone's getting new water ski. Like all that. Like soft goods were hit the hardest. Life jackets, accessories, that kind of stuff is where you definitely went deeper. But you also, I mean, you definitely sold more wake surfers and that kind of stuff through that time. Where water skis, we saw a spike, but it wasn't like water skiing as a sport didn't grow double through COVID, where wake surfing probably did. We have all these people that are like, hey, we want to get into boating. What are we going to do? It probably wasn't water skiing. It was wake surfing.
Yeah.
Like that's the easiest entry point. Like,
do you think water sports as a whole has grown over the past 4 years since COVID?
Yeah, 100%. But that like those people that like bought a life jacket in 2020 aren't buying another life jacket for another. You don't need one every year if you're just a recreational person. Yeah. Like if you go out to a demo, the amount of people that show up with gear that's 10, 20 years old is insane. Like, so yes, the whole pie grew, but the whole pie isn't a customer that's buying a product every year. You have your fanatical, your diehard, like, enthusiasts that are buying product, like they're buying a new Vapor every year, they're buying a new one board every year.
It's a small percentage though.
Yeah, but that is like the smallest percentage of your customer base. Your biggest customer base is a recreational user that's, at best buying a product every 5 years kind of thing, Yeah. Like, I mean, at boat shows, like, oh yeah, I've got an old Kidder Redline. Oh cool, they haven't made that ski in 30 years. Oh, I don't need boots. Like, my boots are fine. I just need a new ski. Or I just need new boots. My ski is fine. That's like the most common of like, oh, these new Vector boots, they look nice. I'll just put them on my 30-year-old ski. Well, skis have come a long way in that time too. And like a lot of times you can convince that person to buy a new product. But
yeah. Well, because there is, in the past 30 years, there has been genuine
insane advancement. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, a water ski still got a concave and bevels and all that stuff, but carbon fibers and foam.
It looks the same.
Yeah. But I mean, it's pointy on the one end and it's narrow on the tail, but they ride better, And I think, like, going back to like a Senate, the best-selling radar ski, like anybody that jumps on a Senate, like, likes it, like, because it works. Like, even if you're a better skier than like a Senate, like, oh, that feels good. Like, yeah. I like the way that ski rides. It's smooth. It's continuous. Like, it carries speed better than the ski that I have now.
So when you jumped into Radar, I mean, you said you were very excited, obviously, to control, I guess, or run a brand in water skiing. Were there any major changes that you maybe not initially thought of, but through the first few years were like, I really want to like implement this, or I really want to go this direction with this product? Was there anything that jumped out, soon after you took the job?
Websites. Yeah, we were notorious for having websites that didn't launch on time, that had, that were missing products, And so one of the biggest things I wanted to do was, have websites that launched on time, that were, complete, and it helped web sales a ton. Like just being we at Square One, Radar Ronix, we do a really unique thing where our websites, we don't fulfill that product. That goes through our dealer network. So if you're buying a product on Radar or Ronix, you're actually supporting the local dealer. So if you live in Orlando and you buy a product on Radar, just say you bought a new vapor, that sends basically a notification to any dealer within 50 miles, so most likely Performance, and they're able to fulfill that order if they have that product in stock. So if you buy a 67-inch vapor, that'll kind of ping that local network. They have the opportunity to claim that. They can also upload their inventory. So if they have inventory, they can upload a CSV file into that and auto-claim that order. And if they don't have it, then it goes nationwide for 24 hours. If nobody in the country has it, then it goes back to Square One, who can then fulfill it. But it enables us to have products on our websites, to have a checkout online, but also support that dealer network in the process, which is super cool. Yeah. But at the foundation of that is creating websites that launch on time, that have all the product on there, that are easy to navigate and have updated imagery and all that. So that was kind of a massive thing that I kind of wanted to tackle, and feel like I was able to do really well. And then it's fun to create new products, whether it's something silly like a beer belt that holds 6 beers with Velcro straps. I think Jeff, it's down there somewhere. Yeah, thanks, Joel. Or, creating, a new ski shape is obviously, that's the most fun project, like coming up with what that new vapor is, working with Rossi and Matt and kind of like that core group that works on ski shapes to build that new shape, to build that product, or working on a session, which is like our entry-level ski, to make a ski that's easy to get up on, but still absolutely rips when you're up, that you can get up and carve around like a traditional ski, but have something low drag, or creating silly like T-shirts, like having cool branding pieces that represent the brand well. The different cut lines on life jackets, creating stuff that fits well, having something for everyone is what we always say. So having, if we have 2 impact jackets in the range, we got one that's a little bit thicker, a little bit more flotation, and one that's a little thinner. One's, like not having all the products. Like you look at water ski gloves, we make like 16 models of gloves, which sounds stupid. But everyone is different, and if you look at like the Radar team of skiers, like no one wears the same pair of gloves. Like it's like such nuancey personal preferences and stuff like that. But it's fun. Creating new products is the most fun part of the job. Like, hey, we're gonna work to create something from scratch. Like, what do we want to do? Like, hey, let's put 2 wrist straps on a glove. Like, they will make them twice as thin, and it'll tighten different, and it'll fit better. Hey, let's work with amazing partners like BOAs or Carbitex or Intuition. Like, what kind of technology have they done that we can incorporate into our products? And like the idea of just like that creation is like, it's the coolest, most rewarding thing. And then like circling back to like dealer days, when all our dealers come out, like that is the most rewarding thing. It's like stand in front of a group of dealers that sell your product and say like, this is what we created, and to hear that feedback and to have excitement of like, oh my gosh, you guys are going to crush it on this vest or this boot, or like for this season was like that new boot range, to like stand in front of dealers and say like, this is what we created, and them go like, thank you. Like, this is going to help us sell your product better.
Yeah. And to see it go from idea to actually.
Yeah. Physical. And then like for product managers, for art departments, like it's so cool for them to sit there and go like, this is what we just worked to create. And, like Square One's a family. Like it's funny. We do this, there's a big like box store, not even a box store. It's a big store called Shields. They sell like all through the Midwest. They're a huge chain. They sell mostly kind of like middle of the range, entry level stuff. Like it's huge, but like I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, yeah. So we do this thing called Shields University, where like we train them. And
what is it? Shields?
Shields, yeah.
Is there a
no? SCHEELS. It's not like shield, like in Avengers or anything.
Okay.
Shields. It's a kind of just like big store that sells camping ski stuff. But they do this thing called Shields University where we do lots of training for their staff before they go into summer. And one of the things called speed rounds. We do like 10 minutes. And at the beginning, we always ask, like, how big of a company do you think Square One is? And most of them are like 300 employees, 200 employees, and it's like 30 people. And it's people that like love what they do, from customer service to warranty to people that pull orders for Ryan that sets every fin in the warehouse to Ashley Bells that's answering emails and stuff like that. They all love what they do and they care about it. And like they have relationships with every shop that we sell. And it's like, it is such a family and such a core group. And that was like the hardest part of leaving is like, you're not just leaving a company at a big job and like, or, a job at a big company. But you're leaving a family of people that you've worked closely with that, like you don't just see them at work, but you hang out with them outside and it's family.
Well, when it's that
cool.
few people too, it's like, it's going to be a family. I mean, it's either going to be a family you hate or it's going to be a family you love, but it's going to be a family either way, right?
For sure.
So, all right. So we got a Patreon question from Bill Porter. You brought up performance earlier. So Bill's got an interesting one. And he's wondering if you can give some thoughts on the majority of water sports industry being now owned by either private equity groups or banks and how you feel this could impact, the long-term health of water sports as a whole.
I don't think it's good. I think being independent, which luckily Square One is, it's owned in majority by Brian Gardner and Paul O'Brien. But a lot of the employees there have equity in the company, and it creates that family, right? It creates that passion. And a majority of other companies are owned currently, by banks, but and I think that kind of affects the way that they can do business. But I will say far and away, this industry is built by people that care about what they do. And I think that's fundamentally what's most important. Is I don't know, like I know everyone at the other companies, and I do know that they care and they're not just clocking in, clocking out. Like our industry is special in that it's small and that everyone that's doing it isn't doing it because they're making so much money that they can't do something else. They're doing it because it's what they want to do. And I think whether you're owned by a bank or you're all owned by the same company, I think it would be better if it was a bunch of independent companies for sure. But I think at the core of that is good people that care about water sports.
And that are fighting behind the scenes for the things because they care about it. So they're fighting.
I think
for
the it's a tangent I can go down of just like, I think there's a lot of people that view like the companies as like, oh man, they're just out here cashing checks and they don't care about, but like we sit in those meetings and like talk to those people at WSIAs and like, they're all people that care. They're doing it because they care. And it's the same with events. Like I think there's so many times like people that look at an event from the outside go, man, they should just do this better. They should just like, why don't they do this part? But like, I've been on the back of that. My wife lives on the back of that. And those people are putting their heart and soul into it. They're, again, not doing it because they're getting rich. They're doing it because they care about it, because they want to do it. And yes, obviously you can get tunnel vision. You can get too close to it. And it's always good to listen to that outside feedback of like, oh, no, you're right. We should do that. But like, man, I worked for World Sports and Marketing when we were doing, and like, man, it was so fun. But there's times that like Bish and Priscilla and Dishman and I are emailing at 2 a.m. trying to get stuff done before a PWT that starts on Thursday because like we care, because it's like you want to do the right thing. And I know, Corey at WWA right now is like going through that all the time of just like, why don't you guys just make the events better? Just do this. Why don't you just get more prize money? Just do this. Why don't we just be on ESPN? Well, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, we want to do that, but it's not reality. And those people, like, they're working 80 hours a week to try and make it better. And there's like always just, you're pigeonholed by the size of our industry to an extent. And everybody wants to do that. And I see it on Waterski Pro Tour of like, I said, like, whatever hot take, like Waterski Pro Tour is good for the sport. And there's a lot of people that, far and away it's been positive. But being on the inside, there's a lot of people that are just like, well, no, this is people trying to look out for their best interest. No, like, I'll tell you right now, Freddie puts way more into Water Ski Pro Tour than he gets out of it, and so does Manon, and so does Vince Stoutenbauer, who does Water Ski Broadcasting Company, who's putting out an amazing production. Like, the production value of what he's creating is far and away better than what he's getting out of it.
And the size of the industry, it's not.
Yeah, like that is like, that is like, if you look at what our sport is to what it gets from that, holy crap, man! Like, Vince is putting out an incredible product. Like Greg Desfond, who's doing Water Ski Nation, like a print magazine, like, that shouldn't exist. Doesn't make sense, but he believes that it's good for the sport, so he's going to do it. And there's like, that's in water skiing, and there's that in wake as well. You know, like the guys behind like Wake Skate League, you know, like, that's not a big money maker for them, but they believe in what that is, and they want to put forth the time to put on events and do things, you know, like, you know, we're blessed to have Red Bulls back Wake the Cities and put that in. They're not getting out what they put into that, but we're lucky that they do it. Double or Nothings, you know, that MasterCraft's doing that Herb's Cups, that you know, that Radar, we're able to put that on, that MasterCraft's contributing to that. Like, it's amazing that everyone really is like fighting together to create a better product. Like, you know, sum of all the parts kind of situation.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people do feel like, you know, everybody has an opinion, right? And that's a fact. Like, everybody's got an opinion. Some are better than others, but I feel like, and maybe it's not just the water sports industry, but I feel like I see it more in the water sports industry, where people feel very entitled that their opinion is correct.
Yeah.
And that, well, if we just did it this way, it would be better. And it's like, I don't know. That's a very bold thing to say.
Well, I think it's stop and ask, why is it done this way, before you ask what we should be doing it.
You're jumping the gun.
Yeah. Like, take the hey, why do we do it like this? Before you go, oh, hey, we should just be doing this.
Oh, because we have to operate in these parameters. Okay, that's why we're doing it like that.
And like, that was one of the biggest things for me to learn. Like, when I took on the role of brand manager, is like, you know, question the norm. You know, like, why are we doing this? Are we just doing it because it's how we've always done it, or what is the reason why? And I think that, you know, if you say, well, it's just because we've always done it. Okay, well, let's relook at that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're doing it this way because boom, 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 boom. Okay.
It sells a shit ton. Okay,
yeah.
well.
But it's one of those things where it's like, ask the question why, but like, you always question what's happening, but there's parameters in which make it like the right way to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think we're closer in this industry, so you see it. Like, I'm sure it happens in surf. I'm sure it happens in snow, but we live on the inside of that where we see it. And like, you know, I mean, I know that the text Corey gets, and I know the ones that I've gotten over time of like, why don't you just, like, can we not just do this? And like, well, no, like, we want to do those things. Like, we want, like, everyone is, I do truly believe that everyone has the sport's best interest at heart more than their own. Like, you know, like, these people, yes, it's the path they've chosen, but it's like, I know, like, 16-year-old me was stoked for 26-year-old me to be running that brand, and like, all I ever wanted to do was like be part of water skiing, not because I thought I could like get rich through water skiing, but because I wanted to like be a part of the thing I cared more about than anything in the world, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, and I mean.
And so yes, I guess to circle back to that original question, do I think it would be better if everyone was independently owned and operated, and it would probably give more freedoms?
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think there's there's not a bunch of corporate jerks working at any of the other companies.
Yeah, and some brands are better than others. Some brands fight a little harder and do other things, and that's, you know, if you're someone who's purchasing, look at the brands that you like the shit they're doing.
Yeah, support brands that have a like-minded thought to what you do.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think like, everyone's got a different look and feel to who they are, and that's, you know, that's a look into the core of their DNA of what they want to do and what they believe is the right way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's time we dive into another segment presented by Driftline called Deserves Some Love. So, I mean, you've thrown some good names out already of some people that, you know, have gotten some love from you, but Driftline makes wetsuit line board shorts. They also make, I think it's called UPF shirts is the term. You would probably know UPF, am I right there?
Yeah, protective
freedom. Which, if you've taken one look at me, you know I need this shit.
He's a ginger.
Yeah, I'm very light-skinned, and I've gotten my ass handed to me by the sun more times than once, so
I'll tell you a funny story real quick. We're talking about protect.
Grab 15% off.
Yeah, so grab 15% off Driftline, you know, do the things. See how that's got a hood on it to protect, you know, your neck. I now have a mullet, which protects my neck from sunburn. But Shields University, we talked about it a second ago. I went to that one time without protective gear, and I got very sunburned on my neck. And so I had this like, it was red as this koozie line and then like stark white behind it. And I like sent a picture to Corey. I was like, oops. And she just, how old are you? I was like, not old enough, I guess. So
old for that.
wear protective sun gear. If you, my boy T Moye, you know, he buffs up, he wears the sun shirts, he's in the boat all day. You got to do it. You got to protect your skin.
Definitely do. And I hate sunscreen personally, so I would much rather put something on top of me than the sunscreen.
I'll tell you what you got to. Corey's like the queen of sunscreen. You got to get some like no. Like these, she's got these like crazy Asian sunscreens, like FDA, you know, blocking these like progression. Look at this Korean sunstick. I'll send you.
You got to put me onto that because
no. Corey knows sunscreen. She's on her. She's on it.
Okay.
She doesn't let me get burned, except for when I do 4th of July this year. Whoo, toasted. She roasts me too. Like I get roasted by the sun. She just like.
Well, I mean,
she's like it's preventable. Like
it's the easiest thing to prevent.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, you're out in the sun. Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah. It's true.
I made the mistake. We had a contest in the Midwest, RGR, this past summer, and I was like, oh, I'll just stay in the shade. You know, I'll just bounce around from the shade today. Didn't happen. I can tell you that right now. I'll put a photo in because it's bad. It was bad. But yeah. So who deserves some love? You threw some names out there, but
I mean, it's gonna sound like nepotism because it is, but my brother, Casey, he deserves. He's the best water skier I know. Like, hands down. Like,
better than Joel Poland?
Yeah. But slalom. I guess if we're talking overall water skier, Joel Poland is a better overall water skier than Casey. Casey is hands down the best slalom skier I've ever seen, and I truly mean that. Like, he is so talented. Like, we did. We did a video series called Saturday Swerve Sessions, which was like this, like sponsored by Wade Cox, which is a like camera tracking system. You hook on the pylon and it like follows the skier. So like we connected with them, and they were like, I pitched them this idea of like Saturday Swerve Sessions presented by Wade Cox, which is like you basically just using their camera tracker to film a set, and it was just like a raw set, like straight up the rope, whatever we wanted to do. So, but there's like this one set in particular of Casey running like 32, 35, 38, 39, 41 off, and it is like, it's insane. Like the most textbook picture perfect skiing of like doesn't miss a buoy, like runs all like doesn't try 43 but does all the buoys. Yeah. And like just he fundamentally, like watching him ski, like it's so cool at the radar shoot. He doesn't ski that much anymore. Like he's a working man, he's a married man, he loves riding his bike. And he just doesn't ski as much as he used to. It's like I'm hoping we start skiing together more. Like for both of us, like skiing is so much about like who you're skiing with. And we didn't grow up being ski school kids and that. Like we skied together. And I know I struggle with it. Like I had Travis Moye, who I skied with, loved to ski with. But like Casey and like our sets are special, man. Like I don't know, like when him and I just ski together, it's the most fun time on the water I'll ever have. But like it's where like he is so talented, and like at a radar shoot he doesn't ski that much, but like when he skis everyone watches. Like he's just like he always does. We do a token shot every year, sunrise, boarding school, high reach, 100 feet in the air, like $sign as the sun's coming up behind the trees there. And he does it every year. He's done it for the last 5-6 years, and everyone just stands there and stares at like he'll have not skied for 2 months and just like 6:30 in the morning, perfect rhythm, come out, reach, stand up, just absolutely insane. Yeah,
that's a good one.
He's my deserve some love. He like, and if water skiing was big, like, I mean, I would just wish it was bigger that he could, you know, make a living doing it. And you know, you can work and ski, like it's not, but it's, you know, like if you don't have the right people around you, you don't want to do it as much. And he is like undoubtedly the most talented water skier I've ever seen. Yeah.
Sick.
And it's like, I wish there was a way that you could make, you know, like, you know, it's just hard to make it as a pro water skier if you want to make it on sponsors and contests. Like, it's a grind.
Well, it definitely is. I mean, you can look at Joel Poland. He's doing it on all fronts, and like life I can't imagine has been super easy up until this point for him. Like, it's not the money's not just getting thrown at you, you know. No. So it's tough. I mean, it's a risk, and it's a risk some people are willing to take of like, hey, can I do this? And you know, I respect the decision Casey made of like, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to get a job and I'm going to guarantee that I have a paycheck every Friday and
it's what I'm going to do. But I wish we lived in a world where it didn't have to. He could have said, "Hey, I want to be a pro skier for 10 years," and
could have done it.
Could have had a path that made it happen.
Yeah.
I want to do a wake one too.
Oh.
It's a guy that he did make a career, and he's still in the industry. But Jeff House is like when I talk about just stylish riders, like when I talked about like Jamie Beauchene or Thomas Moore, like Casey skiing, like when I watch Jeff ride, like the dude's insane. Like Corey lived with him for a long time, so I got to watch him ride, and I've seen a lot of his video parts. And like, I mean, switch regular, smooth as possibly could be. Like that dude rips, and just like, yeah, he's a good dude.
That was one of those low key names too that like the newer gen definitely probably hasn't heard of. But
for sure, like if you know Wake, like you know Jeff House, and he's like a guy, and he's the man.
Yeah,
like you know him and you respect his riding. But like he is a guy that is more talented, like. Deserves that everyone should know his name. Like he deserves some love. Like everyone should know who Jeff House is. Everybody should go watch a YouTube video of Jeff House riding.
Yeah,
like
I'll find one link below.
It's like, I mean, he has some video parts that are just like him, and I'm sure like Spencer shot some stuff of him that's just like
that looks good.
Yeah, and just like the switch regular thing, like, and that's like I'll just throw Ollie out there. Like, I mean, Ollie's had an amazing career. Like he's been very successful in wakeboarding. But I think is a better wakeboarder than the success he had in wakeboarding. Like, I'll never forget it. We were at Wake Open in Tampa, and we were doing live scoring. It would have been, I don't know if it was Big Air or what it was, but he was doing just insane stuff. I'm not the best at wakeboard tricks. I've watched a lot of them, but
some spins,
you know how it is.
Flips.
Some spins and flips. And he comes in and he just looks at the judge and he goes, "Hey boys, just so you know, I left foot forward." And he was like, because he was doing everything switch, and he was like, he makes everything switch look so good that like you forget that it's switch.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, to me, that's the most cool thing. Like someone that can ride, like if you don't know what foot forward they are, that's like
the highest compliment you can receive too. If
sure.
you show up and you wakeboard and everyone's like, I
don't know what foot forward you are. Is he right? Is he goofy?
He hasn't done a method yet. I don't know which one. I don't know
switch method?
Yeah, nobody's.
I got there was going to do one yesterday.
I should have put a bounty on it. That would have been maybe next year. I got one last question on Radar stuff, but how come Radar doesn't make their own releasable boot binding? Like, what's the company that makes them, Reflex or something?
So Reflex makes a releasable hardshell binding. HO makes one. John Travers has his own company called Edge, which is the same as the HO system. Okay. And our high-end boot is actually compatible with a releasable setup. So, we could go down a very long boot rabbit hole, but Reflex or Radar is designed around like hybrid footwear, so kind of a blend between hard shell and rubber boots, traditional like Wiley Animal style, and that's where like our Vector sits like perfect in the range. And when it came time to design like the new Vapor boot, we wanted to have a blend of hard shell and textile, an upper that was like better connection to your foot, more reaction, and wanted to make it so it was compatible in a Reflex system or a MOB system, which is another release unit. But I think far and away, like there is no perfect system. Like so, even a releasable system can release when you don't want it to. It's like, and so I think like for the mindset of Radar, it was like create a boot that is compatible with a mechanical release if people want it, but create a boot that releases kind of through a bungee on the upper so that you have the ability to come out and create a product that is higher performing and, just works better. You make it the option to work in a system with the people that want it. But again, skiing is much bigger than the tournament world. And I think for most people, they don't need that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Speaking of skiing's bigger, and I do want to talk about you leaving Radar, but so a couple more questions that I'm thinking of right now. So the Vapor is the highest end ski in the Radar line, right? So it's what, $2,000 or whatever to get?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who calls up or talks to you and says, "I want the best ski money can buy"?
I'd sell them a graphite Senate. So a tagline I'm like guilty of using probably more than I should is like the crossroads of price and performance. I just come up with taglines all day, every day.
Brand manager out here.
Yeah. So the Senate is the best-selling ski out there. It's a Vapor just made 0.2 of an inch wider. So we just add a little flat rail on the edge of the concave, which is the curve in the bottom of the ski, to the bevel, which is the radius on the outside. It just allows it to sit higher, provides a little bit more balance and support. And then the graphite construction means it's 100% carbon fiber, which all Radar skis are, and it's a polyurethane core, which is kind of our tried and true, tested and proven like foam material. And so you have just like a foam that reacts and moves with you, with all the responsive carbon fiber, fully adjustable fin. Yeah, it's everyone's ski. Anybody can jump on like a Senate graphite and have like a perfect ski for $750.
Yeah, because there were times when I was at Wade Cox, got calls or emails about, I just want the best ski money can buy, and homeboy hasn't really skied that much.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I kind of got to talk him off the ledge of like, well, I don't think I'm not. I'm not.
The vapor's not for
skier,
everyone.
Like,
you know, like I mean, everyone doesn't like same reason everyone doesn't need an RXT. Like the district's the best. Like the district is the Senate. Like it's a board anybody can jump on.
Yeah.
Feel balanced. Like jump the wakes, do tricks. Like I mean, it's you can ride it.
Yeah.
Let it rip.
The majority products. Why'd you leave Radar, or did you get fired? Did you get canned?
So many rumors. Let's see. I got fired. I went off the deep end, had a meltdown.
That's actually, I kind of like that one.
Yeah, no, that one was
that one
good.
has legs.
Yeah. No, I was stoked when I got that text. I was a little bummed I didn't act a little crazier. Got fired, went off the deep end, had a mental breakdown.
Can't stand living in the Pacific Northwest anymore.
Pacific Northwest. So when go back to 2016 when Corey and I talked, it was like we had this conversation. Said, hey, let's do it for 5 years and see if it's what we want to do. So 5 years kind of fell right in 2021, COVID craziness, and we liked living out there. We at that point had like gotten more into like big water boating, like going out to the San Juan Islands, going out and kind of exploring up there. We were like enjoying living up there, and we kind of just said like, hey, we don't want to leave right now, but I think it's time to start looking at it. Like 5 years has come, like kind of around New Year's. Like, I mean, it's always like New Year's resolutions. I think I hate them personally. I don't do them, but it's a time where it's like quieter in the industry. Like you're before boat show season, like there's a little break between like normally do a China trip in December, but then like between Christmas and New Year's, like WWA's always off that week. I normally like Square One's normally we take that week between Christmas and New Year's off. We always go somewhere. And we would sit down and just say like we'd always kind of like use that as like not even like New Year's, but just like
life check-in.
Yeah, like let's just check in with each other. Like obviously we talk, we're married, we talk. But it's like our time to like, hey, what are we doing? And we just like had that conversation of like, where do we, this is where we are after 5 years. Where do we want to be? And we still want to be here 6 years. Yeah, let's do it. But like kind of in the background, I was like, hey, let's look at like, we want to get back to Florida. And then kind of fell in love with big open water and ocean and all that. And so just like looking at like, okay, what is something like, I mean, I've traveled 150 to 200,000 miles a year for 15 years at this point. And I didn't want to do it anymore. Like, and you can do that job without, but I'm all in. Like, I'm going to do 2 trips a year to China. I'm going to do 2 trips to Australia. I'm going to do all these. I'm going to go to every boat show I can. I'm going to do Radar Nation days when I can. I'm going to do, all the European showing. I'm going to live and breathe this thing while I'm doing it. And I wanted to break from that. I wanted to do my own thing. I've always kind of like been a guy that does my own thing, and like Paul and Brian afforded me the opportunity to really do my own thing at Radar. So like, I mean, Dan Lay, I said something to Dan Lay at Active and was like, just want to do my own thing. He's like, well, you're doing your own thing. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But I do I want to have something that I can create. And so like, I love open water boating, and I want to be able to like have something where I can go out and like, it's kind of similar to like I love coaching, I love meeting people, and I just like to be able to like, hey, we're gonna cruise up and down the river, and we're gonna drop you off at sandbars, and I'm gonna meet a bunch of people that are like, whether they live there and they just want to go out on the boat for a day, or they're staying at the DoubleTree in India Atlantic and they want to go for a river cruise. Like, let's go have some fun and let's do this. And I still ski a lot. Like I skied a lot at Radar. I still ski now, but it's like I want like skiing to not be work, kind of thing. Like I wanted to like have these Tuesday sets with Joel and Trav, and like, hey, that's my like, I'm sneaking away, I'm doing this thing, and I'm having fun. and I loved my job and I loved what I did, and I wanted to leave loving it. You know, I've seen people work themselves to a point where they didn't like what they did anymore. They never wanted to water ski anymore. They didn't want to touch the industry when they left. And I want to be involved. Like, I mean, I'm still a part of Square One. Like, I'm still, technically an employee there, in a kind of consulting, helping role, to just help facilitate transition, and because I care. But, I want to go to Dublin Earth, and I want to stand in the Ronix booth, not because I'm getting paid by Ronix, but because Maxie's my boy and Jake's standing there and Ruck's around, and like, these are the people that I enjoy being with, and I want to leave in a place where I still feel that way. And I think it's easy to get burnt out. And I think if I did it for another 5 years, I probably would have been in a place where I was burnt out, but I want to still be able to go to Masters every year and be stoked to see everyone, and, and like not grow to resent it or anything like that.
I feel like it takes a lot to realize that and then also act on it, because a lot of people probably realize that in that point where they're like, okay, well, if I run this for another 5, 6, 7, 10 years, I'm going to be burnt out, but like, it's still awesome. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So
and I've always tried to think ahead. Like, I remember, Brian called me, Gardner, the president of Square One. He called me like while I was coaching at the boarding school, probably a year before I became brand manager. We had like a sales rep move, and there was an opportunity to become a sales rep. And I just said, like, hey, I don't think that's the right role for me. Like, I love those guys and I have a ton of respect. I don't think that's the role for me. And I'm coaching right now and I'm loving coaching. I know I don't want to be coaching when I'm 60 years old. So I know at some point I need to stop doing that before. But right now I really love coaching and I want to do it. And I would have done it longer than I did. It just, the opportunity, whatever, presented itself. And I think I'll still coach. So I'm like, I'll do a week at the boarding school. Like Trav and I have talked about finding a week where I do guest coaching and that kind of stuff. And I'll probably still do some clinics and go see the guys that I love and have met through the years that I haven't had the time or opportunity to the last couple of years. But I want to leave where I do want to do that kind of stuff, where I still want to be involved and I want to do it on my terms. And so I've always tried to think ahead to like what's coming and what I want to do. And this kind of like just through a lot of thought and looking became pretty clear that this is like, a scary step to take, but something I had to do and wanted to do. Yeah,
definitely. So in the interim, what's the process now? How long have you been here in Florida? I guess you're building a business, right?
So I've been back just 2 weeks now. So I left, I flew out of Seattle in August, and then was kind of on full time through the end of August, finishing some things out. Trent Finlayson has assumed the role of brand manager. He's going to do amazing.
I've heard nothing but amazing things.
Yeah, I talk to him every single day, and have for a long time. We speak the same language as far as what we want the brand to be, and I know that he cares. And the reason he's there is because he wants to continue the legacy that Herb and Sully and myself kind of built that brand to be, and he's going to do amazing there. And I want to help him do that. So I'm helping with that, but at the same time, I'm getting a business built down here. So part of that's just building a starter fleet of boats. So I have 3 boats currently, and I want to build that to 5. Basically center console. So the 4 boats that I'll just do private rentals with. So center console, deck boats, dual console, and some jet skis that you can just book online, go out and rent. And I'll have my own website you can rent through, and I'll do it through Boat Setter, which is like an app, like an Airbnb or a Turo kind of thing for boat rentals. And then I'll have a 25-foot center console, which I just picked up, which is a ton of fun.
Any of these whalers?
I do have a whaler. I got a 13-foot Sport with a tiller motor.
Yeah.
That's just because I've always loved a whaler.
You gotta have a whaler.
And then I have, it's interesting, I have a Wahoo. So full circle, the boat I learned to ski behind is my parents' boat, and they still own it, and they're giving it to me to run in this rental fleet. So it's been repowered and it's ready to rock, but I'm stoked to have that.
Well, if you want to rent the boat, Brooks Wilson, ski on, it's available.
Look it up. And then pontoon boat, and then kind of for that first year, just learn,
yeah.
Just see where the market is. Hey, is jet skis the way to go? Is pontoon, is center consoles, what's getting rented? Just take that first year to really learn the market, learn what rents, what works, what the market is. Learn the river too. I've spent a ton of time recently, like exploring the river and seeing, sandbars and different places I want to go, restaurants. I built like a whole Google Maps out with every bar you can go to by boat, like in the whole area.
Yeah.
And so to be able to like give that to people and just like, but I want to learn that waterway and, start doing some fishing stuff. That 25-foot boat can go offshore. And you kind of start just kind of, I think right now there's a lot of unknown of like what it's going to be, but it's something that like I'm excited to dive into.
Yeah.
And kind of just see what it is.
It sounds like a blast. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope so.
I mean, you're on boats. It's boats. We're boating, baby.
I want a boat. Tie up, as my friend Zach Brown says.
How often would you say you ski these days? Because you said you got the Tuesday sesh, but I mean, on average, how often you skiing? I guess you just got here to Florida. But.
Yeah. So people ask that a lot, and it's like so dependent on so many things. Like, so when I was in Seattle, I would say I averaged like 2 sets a week. Like I'd find 2 days, whatever, I'd go out and ski. I had a guy named Mike Guile that I'd skied with up there. He's an awesome guy. And just like that, I found the guy that I wanted to ski with that made skiing fun up there. And so we would ski together up there. That was kind of my main skiing partner. I had a couple younger guys like Storm and Santi that I would ski with, and they kind of both had, Storm moved to San Diego, Santi had moved over to the coast, and so I didn't ski with them as much, but my guy was like my staple guy up there. And then now back here, like I've skied twice a week every week that I've been here. So last week I skied Tuesday with Trav and Joel, and then I skied Thursday with Trav, and then Jamie Calhoun, another radar skier, and so like, and then I'll probably start going on to Hobe. So I'd like to ski couple 2-tree, as my friend Trav Robb says.
Couple 2-3 times a week.
Couple 2-3 times a week.
That's great numbers. Those are great numbers. What's the setup? I mean, I'm assuming it's a radar ski.
12-12. No.
12-12 all the way out.
No, I'm a skinny stance. I'm about as skinny as you go. Yeah, so I'm on a 67-inch Vapor Pro build. I've never really ridden a ski for more than about 2 weeks because I generally give it away or something happens. Prototype this, that, and the other. But I'm currently riding an Americana. Got a fresh Americana setup. We do a limited edition American flag setup for radar. So running that Americana setup, and we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah,
boots
Vapor boots. I do actually do a custom back boot. So I got a full Vapor front boot. I got a little half cuff on the back, little mini double booter. There's not many of us double booters left.
Didn't Radar make the
HRT?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little bit more than an
it's
HRT.
More than that, but not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a full like Vapor lower with like just a 1-inch lower cuff on the back. Water skiers are weird,
custom
man.
made by you?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Freddie. I think it was Joel. He was like, dude, I can't do that. Like, just give me the normal shit. So that way when I show up, I can just put it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not cutting boots in half or whatever. But
no,
that's interesting.
When I say custom made by me, I used to custom do it, and then perks of brand manager, you just get the factory to make you exactly what you want. So, yeah, my boy Patrick hooked it up for a long time.
So you got some one-of-ones.
Yeah, custom cuffs, stitched, sewn by the factory, custom liners.
Wow.
Yeah, we're really doing it. And then, got a drifter vest, Vapor mainline, Vapor bar lock handle. I'm a podium glove guy.
Podium glove?
Oh, yeah. Thin.
Is that new?
Yeah, no fuss, no frills.
What year did that come out?
2024.
See, that's after my...
Yeah, no more action then.
Yeah.
Yeah, black and gold. We did a glove in that style for a long time, like Storm glove, Atlas glove. Now it's the podium.
Podium, it's a good one. Hopefully they end up on some.
We used to make combo skis called podiums, but I reused the name. That's always a fun process of like naming products, of like just sitting there like, all right, what are we gonna name this thing?
I could think myself stupid in a circle. Of
you just gotta go quick. Like new kneeboard mission, new vest drifter.
Moving on.
Billy Bass bucket hat.
What's the best pass you could run right now?
So because like want to keep things positive, I generally like right now. I haven't skied much, but like a normal set right now would be like back to back. So I go like 232s, 235s, 238s, and just be done. Because normally me and 39 have a pretty tumultuous relationship where I don't end up happy. Or if I just run 238s, I'm pretty happy.
I can see that.
So if I just did like a tournament set, I'd probably run 3 at 39 and be mad, versus just going like 232s, 235s, 238s, and then like tap the head and like let's go hang out.
So 6, you're just doing 6 passes?
Yeah, I generally it's been 4
I don't know
lately,
what's normal for
6 is
skiers.
like so if you do a tournament, it's like, so let's just like if you're skiing a tournament 32, 35, 38, 39, that's 4 passes.
Yeah.
Like so tournament, like typical tournament set, you want to get to like your 5th pass. is generally, if you run your 4th pass, you're stoked.
Okay.
So if I ran my 39, I'd be stoked.
You're doing 6. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's practice, Talking about practice.
Talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
Talking about practice.
What was the breakdown at Square One of ski sales versus sports sales? I don't need exact numbers, but like a rough estimate.
Like Ronex to Radar?
Yeah, Ronex to Radar. Well, yeah, Ronex to Radar.
So
I forgot
I'll give you
Radar
two
has
stats.
tubes and shit, but
Yeah. So Ronex is double what Radar is on a good year for sure. Like, yeah, Ronex is twice the size of Radar as far as all the products. Wakeboards to water skis. I could look up the numbers, but there was a time, I would say it's about March or April, that for 2020, model years are hard when you're thinking ahead. So we just sold 2024. We just announced 2025. 2024 model year where skis were outselling wakeboards for the first time in the company's history.
I mean, don't tell me water ski's making a comeback, because it is. Or it's not. It is making a comeback.
Yeah, it's a real. I mean, it's a thing. Like, I mean, people ski. I think, like, sure, tournament water skiing is not what it once was. But tournament wakeboarding isn't what it once was.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, skiing's real. Like, I mean, yes, when you add all of Ronex, I mean, surf, wake skate, baby, foil. I mean, Ronex is twice as big as Radar all day long.
Foil, yeah.
But Radar. And, Radar's biggest category, I'm proud to say, is water skis.
It's not tubes.
No. Water ski. And that's something I'm very, very stoked to say is, like, I think, and it's something I was, like, harped on of, like, other companies are pivoting, but, like, if every water ski company out there, they want to sell water skis, but they're having to pivot to tubes or to paddle boards or to whatever it may be to make up dollars. And Radar is a water ski company. The water ski category is the biggest category at Radar, and water ski boots is the second biggest category.
Really?
And I'm very pumped to be able to say that. And it's not like I think there's a lot of times in meetings like, well, do you see what this company's doing here? Do you see what that company's doing there? Like, yeah, but they're doing that because they can't sell this product, and we're selling this product, so let's continue to sell this product.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and water skis, I mean, like you just said, water skiing it exists. Like, I went to visit my parents on their lake, a small lake in northern Michigan, which there are millions of these lakes probably. I mean, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of these lakes.
There's more than in Minnesota, they claim it, but Michigan's got it.
The size of this table, some of them are, but that's fine. But what I'm saying is, like, I'll go out there and I'll just see these two kids fucking around wake skating, or this guy water skiing behind a pontoon or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing it's happening, you know what I mean? So
and Paul and I would foil a ton early on Lake Washington, and we would see people water skiing and wakeboarding because we'd go early, like let's meet at 7 and let's go foil, and we would like emotionally struggle to like interrupt somebody that was water skiing or wakeboarding because we're like, no, we want them to do that. So like we'd like go to a different part of the lake or like cruise down, like let these people have but it's cool, like you get out to the lake at 7 a.m. and there's people, like a bunch of boats, people out water skiing, there's people out wakeboarding, there's like, and it's like, I mean, I know Paul does, I know all our sales reps, like they love to like look at a tower and just like, oh my gosh, that's our product, like that's a Ronex, there's a district on there, hey, that's an RXT, oh my, hey, that guy's riding a, oh, did you see that chick who's riding a Lyric or whatever it is, like it's fun to see your product out in the wild.
Yeah. It's cool. It's tangible. It's real.
Yeah.
What was your favorite dealer to work with when you were at Radar?
Oh, my favorite dealer. Shout out Brian Lurch. I mean, Brian, like Action is an amazing dealer. They're good people. And they make a lot of amazing stuff happen. And they get it, like they create a great product and they have a great business model. Bill Porter has done more for me personally than I know that anybody knows. Like, I mean, he has had my back from day one. Like, as a kid, like Performance, it's still by the Florida Mall, but it was like it used to be in a different location. And my like family would go to the mall, like my mom and sisters, and like they'd drop Casey and I off for Performance, and like I'd sit there and look, like touch every single product in that shop. And I just loved it. I lived and breathed it. Like I could look at every single life jacket. I could tell you, like, HO's like handle division used to be called Accurate, like Accurate handles, and they had like this POP that was like just all the bars, and I'd freaking touch them all and feel them and try on all the gloves and Wiley boots. Like, I used to like, so like, I used to think it was the smell of wetsuits, but it's the smell of rubber. It's the smell of like rubber bindings.
So good.
And I was like, I just want my house to smell like rubber. I'm sure it's terrible for you, but like, I just remember thinking like, I just want my house to smell like performance. And now like, I mean, my girl, I got a row of wetsuits and boots and different stuff, but it's like, that smell like is so nostalgic. Like, you walk into Wiley's Pro Shop, what it was back in like in West Seattle there, and it's like it's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I mean, Bill Porter is, you know, he's been an amazing guy. I talk to him, you know, every week, and saw him yesterday, and stoked to see him. And it's a guy that's done so much for me personally, supported me from before I deserved it to, you know, had my back and supported me as you know, supported Radar through that, and I'll always be thankful for him. And, you know, Darren Wiley, will be the last one I shout out. Like, I mean, he is the best dude. Sold his shop last year, but just a guy that's like, again, loves the sport, cares about it. Like, just, it's all people that really care about what they're bringing to the sport and what they're doing.
And you can't fake that. That's why
No,
it's cool
so
to see,
genuine,
because you can't fake it. Like, it's so genuine. What's the coldest water you've ever skied in?
Frozen. I'm guessing you're talking about the Shorts collab.
Sure am, bud.
My boy Joe Short at Shorts Brewing. We went up to Traverse City. Shorts is a brewery in Traverse City, Michigan, Elk Rapids, Michigan.
Elk Rapids, yeah.
And they make a soft bridge Andy, and it's delicious. And we did a really fun collab with those guys. Made some fun skis. Created some really cool videos where we skied on we skied on Elk Lake.
Yeah.
Elk Lake.
I'll throw clips in because
it was halfway frozen over. There's a place called White Birch Lodge, and it was frozen in front of that. We like started off the dock there, and yeah, just it was literally half the lake was frozen.
Started off the ice too, I think, in some of them.
Sorry, yeah, I meant started off the ice. I said started off the dock, but I meant started off the ice. And yeah, it was a really fun day, and yeah. That was a good one.
Good clips.
And then I used to do a lot of cold plunges at Radar, like it'd be half frozen.
I would not have pegged you as a cold plunge guy.
So I'm not a cold plunge guy. Like the way that like Thomas Herman is like, you know, posting videos inside his freezer.
Yeah.
But like if the lake's frozen, I'm getting in that thing.
See, I'm the exact same way. The lake,
yeah.
Always get.
No. I've never and I will not get in a cold plunge cooler. But like, I love cold water. Like, there was a time Radar Lake was frozen over, and I was working down in the barn, which is like where we make skis at Radar Lake, and lake was frozen over, and we were like on lunch, and I was like, "Hey, how much to like swim across the lake?" And they're like, "What?" I was like, "I'll do it." And Trevor, who does warranty at Square One, he like went across in a paddleboard, like made a path, and I swam across the lake, and that was the first time. That was like before cold plunging was a thing. That was like 2016, like the year I moved up there. And then, yeah, the last couple of years, I just like, if I was at the lake, I pretty much only do it if it's sunny. So like if it's gray and cold, I'm like, I'm out. But like if the sun was out, if there's snow on the bank, like we do it. Me and Jake and Adam McKay did it one time. Yeah, I don't know. I like doing it. I'm not like, okay, I gotta.
It's not a daily thing.
Yeah. It's not like part of my routine. But
I see eye to eye with that one. Freddie is wondering, why do you still ski at 36 miles an hour?
Because I ain't old yet. Trav Robinson's favorite game to play, and Corey, my wife's favorite game to play, is guess how old Brooks is. And most people, I mean, you guys guess. What do you think?
Throw it in the comments.
Yeah, throw it in the comments. How old do you think I am? But in water skiing, you slow down to 34 miles an hour at the age 35. I am not 35 yet. Much to people's dismay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So from when you're 18 years old to when you're 35 years old, you ski at 36 miles an hour. And then from 35 to 65, you ski at 34 miles an hour.
That's a range.
Yeah, it's a big range. And then, but it's not all one division. It's every 10 years. So 35, 45, gotcha. 45, 55, 55, 65. They all ski at the same speed, but it's different. It's broken up. So like Senior Worlds just happened, and like all those different divisions competed. My boy Seth Stitcher just won over 45. So shout out to Seth. He used to live at his place in South Carolina back in the day.
Nice.
He just won. But there's been times when I've been down doing like my winter trips to the boarding school and skiing with Freddie. And there's one time there's this guy from England that was in the boat, and I'm like getting ready, and I was like, hey, 36 B2, which is the settings. The 0 off is the B2, and then the 36 is the speed. And I was like, I get done, and I've skied fine probably, but the guy's like, why do you still ski at 34? Or why do you still ski at 36? Why don't you go 34? I was like, because I don't know, like just such an awkward thing. Like basically just like, you're old, why don't you just slow down? Yeah, like you made that look. And I just took it, like Freddie took it as like, he made that look really hard. He should just slow down and be easier.
Yeah, Freddie had a couple ones where he said, how many times have you been mistaken for not being Brooks Wilson?
Yeah, a handful. So there was a boat show. It's probably the story he's referencing. So I was at a boat show. It might have been at Action. It might have been Grand Rapids. I was like standing in front of Radar, and I introduced myself. And like, hey, I'm Brooks Wilson, Radar. And he's like, oh, there used to be a pro skier named Brooks Wilson. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there did. He was great.
There used to be a pro skier.
He was a great guy.
He was pretty ahead of his time.
Wonder
what that guy's up to. The old classic Tony Hawk.
I already lost his shit, quit his job.
What's Tony Hawk up to these days? This.
Yeah, that's happened to Tony a lot.
Yeah, Tony's the man for that one.
What's the best place you've ever skied? I'll leave that one open-ended because it could be many different reasons for best place to ski.
I've been to a lot of cool places. I feel like I've won the proverbial lottery in like life of just like, man, I've been to South Africa a dozen times. I've been to Australia more. I've been to Mexico so many times. Europe. I've traveled the world doing what I love, and I'm so thankful for it. It's insane. I'll start with the best trip I ever did, and it was to Mexico, to a place called Querétaro. Probably butchered that. Spanish, not my forte. But it was an awesome ski lake. This guy, Arturo Nelson, took us down. It was like me, Jason McClintock, Nick Parsons, Thomas DeGasperi. We flew a commercial airline that like sponsored it, but we drove down to Miami. We flew this commercial airline out of Miami. But we were there was like 5 people on a 200 passenger plane. Like it was wild. And so like land in Mexico City, get in a bus north to this town called Querétaro. And it was kind of exhibition, kind of tournament, but we skied, and then there was like on the grounds, there was like dune buggies. You could run up through these mountains. There was a polo field. Like we rode horses, played polo, rode these dune buggies, skied. There's like a bar on the side of the lake where we just kind of hung out with everyone. And then like we explored the town, like mostly like Parsons, J-Mac, and I just like, I discovered micheladas for the first time there. So good. Yeah, so good. But I didn't even know what it was. And then we're like, none of us did. And we went to like michelada. Drank a lot of Clamata beer, Tajín that trip. But like walked through these like 100-year-old churches. Just wandered the streets, had the time of our lives. Like, so like as far as like a trip, that was absolutely unreal. As far as places to ski, the lake I grew up on, Lake Tuscola, like has my heart, I've got so many sets there so many times. Like Casey and I just skied in the mornings, and that's where I've skied the most. Boarding school's special to me. Radar Lake's like the most sacred. I've been to more iconic water ski lakes than I can even remember, kind of deal, But like, Radar's special. There's no time. I've driven through that gate thousands of times. And there's not a time I don't like stop and just go like, wow, holy crap. Like it is like, you got to come, Herb's Couple happen next year. Got to grab average coverage up there.
I'd love to do that. That'd be sick.
But yeah, it's just a special place. Like you have like, I'm sure you hear people talk about the Vortex, like dealer days and Herb's Cup, and you just go in there and it's like, it's special. Like, you've surrounded by 100-foot tall trees and just this perfect lake and the Ewok forest underneath there. Like, they filmed Star Wars at the place, for crying out loud.
Ruck
like,
must have been, he must be frothing every time he shows up. Dude.
Ruck in Radar Lake, it's a special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ruck goes into like Ruck at Radar. Ruck Radar is a good radar. Like, shuts the campfire down every single night, leads the vibes, plays the guitar.
Love that.
6 bottles of vino. Things are happening.
Wine guy, really?
No, that's a Chad Sharp song.
Oh.
Yeah.
See,
6 bottles of vino.
What's the most consecutive wake crossings you have done in one set?
100. Who asked that?
Me, I Googled it.
Did you?
Yeah.
What? That comes up on Google?
No, I YouTubed you, and there's a video of you just going back and forth and back.
So that's where I met my boy, Mike Midori, and Carl Davis came out. I was at this doing a demo with Ryan Hughes. My first trip to the Northeast. One of the most fun trips I ever did. I met a lot of people that I'm still really good friends with today on that trip. It was like early Radar Nation kind of day tours. So that was, flew in. We did like 6 lakes, but one of them, I think it was called Long Lake. It was like 13 miles long. And I don't even know how it happened. Someone was like, how many turns can you do in a round? I was like, I'll do 100. Like, jumped in, went down the lake, did 100 turns, and then just stopped. It took, you saw the video. Like,
it's like 6 minutes long
yeah,
or something.
and I think that's in fast forward, too. Like,
is it?
Yeah. It took whatever it took. And I was like 28 off on a Senate, just free skiing.
Yeah.
And then I think I did 100 on the way back, just like not as, like, did some like Taiwan fast crossings. And yeah, that was amazing though. And then, so Ryan Hughes was the rep at the time in the Northeast, and we did that trip. We went to like a bunch of cool bars, lobster rolls, like had just the best time. Went to, this family I used to coach kind of just down the road here. The dad worked for Omni Hotels, and he set it up as like Mount Washington Hotel, which is like an Omni hotel, and it was so cool. Did like a zip line tour through it. Did the fastest demo I've ever done. I don't think he used to ride for Liquid. He's got a dealership up there. But we showed up at his lake, and he had 10 guys, and they skied we showed up at 9, planning to do like a demo all day. Went idled out, went to this dock. All 10 people skied 100 yards down it was like a full length of the lake, lake length down, turn around, come back, whip into the dock, next one ready, boom, boom, boom. Like skied 10 guys in an hour. And all right, sweet, thanks for coming out. It's like 10 a.m. We were like, all right, what are we doing? And then I've been around wakeboarding a ton, right? But so Ryan was like, hey, I got to fly out, but you got to do a wake demo tomorrow. And then you'll fly out. I was flying out the next day, and I was like, what? Like, yeah, just take these guys out. Like, they have a boat. Just take them wakeboarding. And took the crew out. They don't have a shop anymore. Eastern something. Eastern H2O, maybe. But yeah.
Eastern H2O, that's good.
There was a skate shop that sold some wakeboards. And took them on the Allegheny. It was out of Pittsburgh. And it was the dirty. Everyone was like, what? You don't get in that water.
I feel like I've heard something about that.
But it's if you take it, it goes to the Steelers Stadium, downtown Pittsburgh. Yeah. Allegheny Enema. That's what they said. Don't get.
I feel like when I was talking to Dallas, they did a pro wakeboard tour.
Yeah,
I'm way
sure
back. It's gross. They were hosing you down after you got out, which is
that sounds about right.
That's gnarly. Rob Corum's wondering, are you even pro?
No, never have been. Fake it till you make it.
Are you the best skier on the mountain though?
I am. Okay. Yeah,
I'm actually the best skier on the mountain. But
I can't believe you're pro. I'm way better than you are. I think we talked about it, but I'm a big Shane McConkey guy.
That was pre-pod, so I think I would ask you who's been some of your biggest inspirations in life, and
McConkey's just that mindset, of just, it's for the fun of it. It's not, I'm sure there was like free skiers before him, but broke the mold with that guy of just I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I'm going to ski naked, and I'm going to jump off this cliff, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm so much conviction in what you are and who you are, and that's just what you're going to be unapologetically. And I've tried to be that, live that way of just this, and I think to be a brand manager of a company, you need to have that conviction. And cockiness is a bad word probably, but confidence in who you are and what you want to do, and that this is the right way. And I've tried to have that through my career of just this is what I want to do, and I hope people get on board. Minute Mondays or videos or all of those things was just this is what I think I want to do, and I hope other people think it's cool. Yeah. And not trying to create content. I know there's a lot of people that just hey, that's the algorithm, and I'm going to build content around the algorithm, and this is what's going to work. And I've just always wanted to do what I want to do and hope that people
and not be easily swayed away from what you truly
for sure
feel. Yeah, and any Shane McConkey content you can consume. If you haven't, there's a lot of good shit out there.
McConkey Doc, get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Red Bull TV.
We got one last one from Josh Boyle. and he's wondering, what advice would you give to someone who has spent the last 25 years wakeboarding but is interested in trying slalom?
Buy a union. Open water dream machine. I mean, skiing's fun. It really is. And the union is like I always call it like our rep ski. Like anybody that like has wakeboarded, has dabbled, like can get on a union. It's still traditionally shaped. It's based off that vapor shape. It's half an inch wider. You can ski at 26 miles an hour, so you're only going a little bit faster than what you're wakeboarding. You can ride it behind a wakeboard boat and just go link some turns. Find your rhythm. Just go out there and have fun. Like, I think, so many people, wakeboarding's hard. You land. I mean, I wakeboard. I used to, like, when I was at the boarding school, we had a system too, like in the Cove there. We'd wakeboard like once a week. I just love heelside kicker hits, just to the moon. Send them. Let's go. But I mean, I wakeboard behind the boat once a year, and I'm just like every time like scared to cut into that wake. Like, it's big and it hurts when you land, and it hurts harder when you fall. But skiing's fun, and it's still like, I mean, it's a cool feeling. I think like every time I take a wakeboard or water skiing, they're like, "Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that."
Water skiing to wakeboarding is not like snow skiing to snowboarding, in my opinion. They're like water skiing is significantly different than wakeboarding.
100%. I think it's just because of the pull, because of the speed, because of the angle. Like, I mean, water sports is way different than snow sports because there's something pulling you. Like you have that, and like, I mean, just linking some turns together, like the speed. Like if you're wakeboarding and like get the opportunity to ski behind a ski boat, and you don't even need to ski a ski course. Like ski course puts it into real perspective of how fast you have to turn and cut and go. But like it's fun to just link some turns together and just like that cut and glide and
throw up a big wall of water,
whacking walls. It's cool. Like anytime I have shot a lot with guys that like shoot wakeboarding, and like every time they're just like, dude, the spray, like it's cool. I mean, it's easier to shoot than wake, in that like when the person's going to turn.
That's
like,
the one thing Ruck said. He's like, I love shooting water ski.
Yeah, it's like they're going to turn there. Boom. I know where I can shoot. Like focal length, pretty easy. That's where I need to set my focal length to. Like, but it's cool. I mean, I've definitely shot more photos that I'm proud of than contests that I've won, or like done different cool things like the flare skiing that we talked about before, like that poster, like strap a flare to the back of the ski, do an open exposure, like always inspired by like coming up with cool ideas and like, let's see how we can make this look different.
Yeah.
Just like your typical buoy turn, whatever that may be, kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap this up? And obviously anybody you want to thank, but.
I mean, I feel like I've talked a lot of stories, a lot of things.
It's been very good.
I've like I said, like I've had an amazing life and done a lot of amazing things. And, I mean, thank my family. I mean, they've backed me and supported me and been a part of everything I've done. My brother, my sisters, a lot of people know the Wilson Bros. I don't know the Wilson sisters, but they're out there. They're repping. My sister gave me my first ski. My other sister lives here in Orlando. She's a school teacher. Badass. And then just anyone that's supported me, like I don't have an ill word to say about anybody that I'd have never had a bad breakup in water skiing, like, I mean, I had, support from D3 early on, and, still have a good relationship with those guys these days, Nautique. While I was happy to move to MasterCraft and the support those guys gave me, I still have good relationship with the guys at Nautique, and I'm so thankful that they gave a freaking boat to a 17-year-old kid that like didn't deserve it. I wouldn't say to, all the thanks to the shops, to Bill that supported me, to all the dealers that supported Radar, T Moye, my guy, Corey, she's backed me. She's a saint for putting up with all my bullshit, but I'm thankful for her. And yeah, I've, to every Radar team, to Ronix team, to all our sales reps, to everyone at the office, like there, that they, I'm still so thankful for every one of those people. I've got more stories than I'll ever be able to tell.
Well, you can definitely come back on next time you're in Orlando. I think it'd be fun to have you and a couple others on, maybe Joel, maybe Freddie.
We'll do a water ski shop talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll tell my final story. Shout out to my boy Ty High. We were at Grand Rapids Boat Show this year, and we were at what's the bar with the peanuts on the ground across from Anchor Bar?
Oh,
O'Toole's.
the Irish one, O'Toole's.
O'Toole's, yeah. So we were at O'Toole's, and Ryan Skinner and Jeremy Baker texted they were at a bar across town. So we walked over there. We got in. They both had Coronas. Ty and I both grabbed the Coronas out of their hand, chugged them. And then we ordered another round. Ty ended up clinking Ryan's beer, and it started overflowing. Ryan chased him around. Ty ends up getting kicked out. And Ty was like, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry. It's whatever. It's one. We're gonna just finish these beers. We're gonna go." And the guy was not having it. Ends up kicking Ty out. I end up spraying the bouncer down with my beer. We all get chased out of the bar from the bouncers, and that's the last boat show I ever worked.
Grand Rapids Boat Show was the last one you ever worked?
The last one I ever worked, and I'm sure I'll have another boat show in my future. But it was I was the only one that knew that was my last boat show. That I knew what was what was going to happen at that point. I didn't do it because it was my last one, but it was got back to the hotel that night, and I was just like, man, that's a thing. As a way to as a hell of a run.
Were there any Malort shots that night or no?
Not that night,
Okay.
but the year before, I made Jake take a Malort shot at Anchor Bar, and I think he got through about half of it. And
You didn't finish it?
No, he was not happy.
2 years before that, you made me take a Malort shot at Anchor Bar because I had said I hadn't had Malort before.
Yeah,
which
Malort's
is something you should never say.
Yeah. Also, follow Malort on Instagram because they know how terrible Malort is.
Oh, dude, they're
no, it's amazing.
They lead into
the
the brand.
most self-aware.
love to see that.
No, it's great. They're like, hate your friends, make them take a shot on Malort. Just diving into how terrible.
That's
it
what you
is.
got to do.
Yeah.
Smart. Good brand manager over there at Malort.
Yes,
I bet.
they're really doing it. They're really doing things. No product innovation. They're not making it
Lack thereof.
Yeah, just leaning into how bad of a product they have.
It's disgusting. You got to try it. Well, thanks for coming on. This was a blast. This was.
Thank you.
I knew it was gonna be a good one, but I was very excited to chat with you here.
I feel like we talked. I don't know what time it is, but I feel like we've been running.
Ran it for a while. It was a good one. Yeah.
You can cut out all the nonsense.
We're not cutting any of that. Yeah. Just the dog going to the bathroom. That's what we're gonna cut out. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to rate 5 stars. If you are enjoying the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to support. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, do that.
Do that.